Chapter 1: Awakening the God-Level Dog Food System. Jinling Number 1 Middle School. Suan, get up. Lin Shui, the beautiful homeroom teacher, angrily smashed the chalk in her hand at Suan, who was dozing on the table. The eyes of the entire class followed Lin Shui's voice and looked at Suan, who was sitting in the last row of the classroom. These gazes were full of mockery, disdain, and also envy. This was because Jinling Number 1 Middle School's acknowledged school beauty, Guiran, was sitting next to Suan. Seeing Lin Shui's angry expression, Guiran hurriedly poked Suan with her own pink lotus arm. The teacher is calling you. Lin Shui saw that Guiran couldn't wake Suan up. So she walked quickly over to Suan and yelled in his ear. Get up! Suan jumped up from his seat directly after being startled by Lin Shui. Ah! Where is this? Where is this? This is your home. Lin Shui was furious. Ha 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 ha. Hearing Lin Shui's conversation with Suan, the students in the class burst into laughter. Teacher Lin Shui? Looking at his class teacher Lin Shui in front of him, who was furious, and the many students who were laughing, Suan was shocked. The reason was simple: he had found that he had been reborn. In his previous life, Suan had not lived past the age of 25 because he had a terminal illness. Just as Suan was lying on his deathbed, he passed away. His soul suddenly and inexplicably came back to life here. Hey, you're still awake, you recognize me. Lin Shui said, annoyed, as she saw Suan looking at her with the same expression as if he had seen a UFO. Suan knew that Lin Shui was just strict with him, but she was actually very kind to him. In his previous life, he had a terminal illness and had no money for treatment. His mother, Wang Lan, even went to relatives' homes to beg for money, but no one was willing to lend it to her. Lin Shui, Suan's homeroom teacher, who often scolded Suan at school, secretly slipped 5,000 yuan into the fruit basket she gave Suan. Even though Suan later passed away without being able to raise enough money for medical treatment, he never forgot the kindness of his teacher Lin Shui in his heart. I'm sorry, Teacher Lin Shui, I shouldn't have fallen asleep in class. Recalling the memories of his previous life, Suan, who had always been naughty and never wanted to get along with Lin Shui, apologized to Lin Shui in front of all the students, which was unheard of. Is this really Suan? Hasn't he always been at odds with Teacher Lin Shui? This is really something out of the ordinary, Suan apologizing to Teacher Lin Shui. The students were all talking about it as if they had seen a ghost. Lin Shui was also slightly taken aback by Suan's sudden apology. But seeing that Suan had obediently admitted his fault, Lin Shui did not pursue it. You are all adults, and there are less than 100 days until the college entrance exam. Even if some of you don't get into a key university with your grades, you should at least try your best for a regular university, right? As the homeroom teacher, Lin Shui is very worried about these students in front of her. Of course, Suan at the moment was not listening to Lin Shui's earnest advice. Because not only had he been reborn, he had also bound the golden finger necessary for success. Ding! Host successfully reborn, now binding God-level dog food system. System binding in progress. 30%, 69%, 99%. God-level dog food system successfully bound. Just as Suan had not yet reacted to the outrageous thing of his rebirth, a pleasant female voice rang in his head. What? A God-level dog food system? Suan was a little confused. Yes, the host has now successfully bound the God-level dog food system. As long as you complete the dog food-related tasks issued by the system on time or cause others to envy you, you can receive generous rewards for your tasks. It seemed to have sensed Suan's thoughts, and the pleasant female voice that had appeared earlier rang in Suan's head again. Shit, I thought I was getting an invincible system that would help me get ahead in life and not let me down when I was young. But instead, I got a system that tells me to feed the dogs? Where did the dogs come from? Are they going to trick the single people reading this into killing them? Suan was not very happy with the God-level dog food system that had awakened in her. Ding! Detected that the host dislikes this system. This system has decided to initiate self-destruct sequence. No, no. I don't dislike it, I don't dislike it. Anyway, it's better to have a system than not to have one. Suan still understands this point. You really don't dislike this system? No, no. Then say something nice to comfort this system. Suan had never even touched a girl's hand in his previous life. Even though he liked Guiran, he ultimately didn't confess to her because of his illness. How could he comfort someone when he didn't know how? Recalling the corny romantic lines that had been circulating on the internet in his previous life, Suwon gritted his teeth and coaxed the god-level dog food system. Precious, I went for an infusion today. What kind of infusion did I get? I miss your nights. Precious, I had diarrhea today. What kind of diarrhea did I have? Your favorite drink, Amway. Stop. That's enough. Having heard Suwon's corny romantic lines, the god-level dog food system shut up directly. He never dared to mention activating the self-destruct program again. Ding. Please select a binding partner. What is a binding partner? The host can choose any member of the opposite sex as a binding partner. You can accumulate dog killing points by performing enviable dog feeding actions with your binding partner. When you have accumulated enough dog killing points, you can use them to enter a lucky draw or exchange them for generous rewards in the system store. After hearing the system's introduction, Suwon couldn't help but look at her classmate Guiran, who was sitting next to her. Looking at Guiran's exquisite profile, Suwon took a deep breath. I choose Guiran. Ding. Do you choose Guiran as the binding object? Yes. Suwon nodded. Attention. The binding object cannot be changed after confirmation. Do you confirm? Confirmed. A few seconds later, the god-level dog food system solemnly announced. The target of the god-level dog food system, Guiran, has been successfully selected. Just as Suwon was communicating with the god-level dog food system, the gentle voice of Guiran suddenly sounded in her ear. You big idiot, what are you thinking about again? Ah. Nothing. Suwon came back to her senses and realized that class had already ended. Let's go eat. Although Suwon looked a little distracted, Guiran didn't take it to heart at all. Without waiting for Suwon to respond, Guiran pulled Suwon towards the cafeteria in front of all the male classmates. Seeing the goddess ignore all her suitors, she took a special interest in Suwon, a loser with no money and no grades. Many boys at Jiling High School clenched their fists in anger. It's just that some things don't work with jealousy. Chapter 2, If you don't eat, I won't eat either. Feeling countless sharp stares along the way, Suwon and Guiran walked side by side to the cafeteria. Ding. Envy from the single dog Wang Hao sensed, gaining 5 points of dog killing value. Ding. Envy from the single dog Meng Shi sensed, gaining 3 points of dog killing value. Ding. Feeling the envy of the single dog Li Xin, gaining 1 point of dog killing value. Suwon's mind never stopped racing as they walked along. In the end, he had to ask the system to turn off the notifications. That way, his buzzing mind was a little more peaceful. A beauty of Guiran's caliber would attract the attention of all the students in the cafeteria every time she entered. The boys looked at Guiran with a crazed expression. The girls looked at Guiran with envy and jealousy. It seems that she has long been used to being the focus of attention, and Guiran is not affected by others at all. She took out the lunch that her mother had prepared for her from her backpack. When she saw Guiran take out the lunchbox, Suwon also reached into his backpack. But the next second he froze. Suwon had left in a hurry in the morning and left the lunchbox at home. Damn, this idiot even forgot his lunch at home. Although Suwon knew that he had time-traveled back to his own body, he couldn't help but complain. Why aren't you eating? After opening the lunchbox, Guiran noticed that Suwon, who was sitting across from her, hadn't moved for a long time. Looking at Guiran's big, innocent eyes, Suwon scratched his head embarrassedly. I forgot to bring my lunch. Hearing Suwon's words, Guiran gave him a helpless glare. What a big idiot. With that, Guiran left her seat. In a moment, Guiran returned to Suwon with a set of clean dinner plates in her hands. It so happens that I don't have much of an appetite today, so you can help me out a little. Then Guiran, in front of many people, divided a small portion of the food in her lunchbox. I can eat this. After dividing the food, Guiran pushed her lunchbox in front of Suwon. Seeing Guiran push her pink lunchbox in front of her, Suwon hurriedly shook her head. No. I don't want it. You eat it. Suwon knew full well that the little girl didn't have a poor appetite. She was just afraid that she would go hungry if she didn't eat her lunch, so she made up an excuse. When she heard that Suwon had the nerve to refuse her, Guiran's face immediately turned cold. You and I don't have a meal card, and we can't get our meals from the cafeteria. If you don't eat, you'll go hungry all day. I was careless and left my lunchbox at home, and I shouldn't let you starve with me. Suan still firmly shook her head. Seeing that Suan was impervious to persuasion, Guiran simply pushed her tray aside. If you don't eat, I won't eat either. Let's see who can outlast the other. You were at a loss for what to do in the face of Guiran's ploy. In the end, under the threat of Guiran's accompanying him in his hunger, Suan still picked up the pink lunchbox in front of him. Hey, what kind of world is this? You can't even refuse to eat soft food. Just as Suan lamented, a group of men who had witnessed the two of them eating from the same lunchbox stared with wide eyes. Damn it! This is shameless. Using such tactics to get close to Goddess Iran. Shameless. So shameless. I, Wang Hao, have never seen such a shameless person in the world. Watching his favorite goddess eat from the same lunchbox as Suan. Countless men who had regarded Guiran as their dream goddess heard the sound of their hearts breaking. The next day, many boys who had witnessed Suan and Guiran eating from the same lunchbox chose to forget to bring their own lunchboxes. Of course, the result for them was just to go hungry. Seeing that Suan had succumbed to her own lustful power, Guiran winked proudly. It seems to say that you are far from being a match for me. Here, this is for you. You boys are growing up now, so you need to eat more nutritious food. With that, Guiran took 2 of the braised prawns on her plate and put them in Suan's lunchbox. No, no. I'll be fine with these, you should eat more. Suan hurriedly shook her head. Then let's each have one. Seeing Suan shaking her head, Guiran had no choice but to agree. Seeing their goddess treating Suan so gently, the boys couldn't help but want to kick Suan away, so that they could take Suan's place. Ding! Feeling the envy of the single dog Don Lei, gain 10 points of dog killing value. Ding! Feeling the envy of the single dog Zhao Feiping, gain 8 points of dog killing value. Ding! Feeling the envy of the single dog Lulu, gain 5 points of dog killing value. While Suan and Guiran were dining together, they were the envy and jealousy of the boys around them. Suan once again accumulated a lot of points for killing dogs. If these boys knew that Suan not only ate lunch with their goddess in the same box, but also used their envy and jealousy to her advantage, they would be afraid to the point of wanting to dig up Suan's ancestors' graves. Not only did they have to watch their goddess show great care for other men, they also had to become the tool for that man to accumulate points. No one can stand this. After lunch, Suan took the initiative to clean Guiran's pink lunchbox. She only returned it to her after she had finished cleaning it. The afternoon class was chemistry. For Suan, who had not graduated from high school for many years, the periodic table of chemical elements was familiar, but she did not recognize some of the elements on it. Fortunately, there were only 3 classes in the afternoon, so it was soon time to go home. But just as Suan was about to go home with Guiran, Lin Shui, the homeroom teacher, suddenly appeared and stopped Suan. Classmate Iran, I'm looking for Suan about something. You can go home today. Lin Shui said to Guiran, who was standing by waiting to go home with Suan. She glanced at Suan and then at the homeroom teacher. Guiran had no choice but to obey Lin Shui. Seeing that the other teachers in the office had already left, Suan knew that what Lin Shui wanted to talk to him about next would most likely not be good. Have a seat. Lin Shui pointed to the chair behind him. No, I'd rather stand. I'm used to standing. Although Suan had already guessed what Lin Shui wanted to talk to him about, there was still no expression on his face. Looking at Suan in front of him, who was very different from his impression, Lin Shui slowly spoke. Do you know why I specifically asked you to stay behind today? I know, Lin teacher, it's probably because of Guiran. Chapter 3, The Promise with Lin Shui. Seeing that Suan not only guessed the reason why she had asked him to stay, but also remained so calm, Lin Shui was very surprised. She had not failed to mention to Suan before to keep a proper distance from Guiran. But every time, she would receive an emotional rebuttal from Suan. This time, Suan's calmness really took Lin Shui by surprise. You're not excited? Seeing Suan in front of her, who was exceptionally calm, and even more composed than herself, Lin Shui was a little unaccustomed to it for a moment. Not excited? Suan from the previous life had been suffering from a terminal illness and had seen through the coldness of the world. He had even died once, so what could possibly cause him to have emotional fluctuations? Shouldn't you be excited? Lin Shui asked Suan, not giving up. Teacher Lin, if you're fine, I'll be going first. Suan helplessly rolled his eyes. Upon hearing Suwon's words, Lin Shui coughed lightly twice and stopped obsessing over whether Suwon should be agitated today. Since you know I want to talk to you about Guiran, do you have anything you want to say? Lin Shui pushed the black frame on his nose and looked at Suwon and asked. I promise you, Lin teacher, that I will never delay Guiran's studies. At least until I get into the same university as her, I won't be with her. Suwon assured Lin Shui in a flat tone. Puff. Lin Shui, who had just opened her water cup to drink, sputtered when she heard Suwon say that she wanted to get into the same university as Guiran. Fortunately, Suwon dodged in time and was not hit by Lin Shui's hidden weapon. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Classmate Suwon, I didn't mean it. Lin Shui hurriedly apologized to Suwon. It's fine. Suwon waved her hand to indicate that she didn't care. It's not that I don't believe that in 100 days, classmate Suwon can get into the same university as classmate Guiran. Can we set a small goal first? Lin Shui was naturally very happy to see Suwon wanting to study hard for Guiran. But in the last monthly exam, Suwon not only ranked at the bottom of the class. She was also well known throughout the year as a regular bottom performer. Guiran, on the other hand, was a top student who had consistently ranked in the top 10 in the whole school. It was not an exaggeration to say that the two were worlds apart. Teacher, I didn't mean to do so badly in the last monthly exam. With your grades, do you really need to try? Lin Shui smiled helplessly when she heard Suwon trying to explain herself. Teacher, really, I'm not lying to you. I'm usually the second last in the whole grade, and last time the first last didn't come to the exam, so I was the first last. Thinking about her poor grades, Suwon couldn't help but laugh. Okay. I can see that you're serious, so I won't move you away from Guiran for now. But you must promise me that in the monthly exam in half a month's time, you must be in the top 1,000 in the whole grade. There are more than 1,200 people in the third year of Jinling High School. It is not impossible for Suwon to improve by more than 200 places in half a month's time. Okay. I promise, Teacher Lin. Suwon agreed at once. Okay, that's all I wanted to say, so you go back early. Goodbye, Teacher Lin. After saying goodbye to Lin Shui, Suwon carried his school bag and walked out of the office. Lin Shui muttered to himself as he watched Suwon's back as she left. I hope you won't let me down, and don't let Guiran down either. Suwon didn't know that he was envied by all the boys at Jinling High School for being able to sit next to the school beauty, Guiran. It wasn't just his good luck, but Guiran had traded her place in the top 10 in the whole grade for it with Lin Shui, her homeroom teacher. In order to maintain her place in the top 10 in the whole grade, Guiran often studied until 2 or 3 in the morning. Suwon didn't know any of this. Half an hour later, Suwon arrived at the market. The market was already much less crowded. Suwon went straight to her mother Wang Lan's stall. Looking at her mother, who should have been dressed up beautifully, but had to raise her daughter alone after the early death of her husband, Suwon's eyes were filled with tears. The last thing that appeared in his sight the moment he closed his eyes on the deathbed in his previous life was the scene of his mother Wang Lan hugging him and crying. Without any hesitation, Suwon directly embraced his mother Wang Lan in his arms. Hey, you child, what are you doing? So many people are watching, aren't you ashamed? In his previous life, Suwon was an inconsiderate child, but experiencing that illness made him see his mother's hard work. Just as Wang Lan was embarrassed by Suwon's hug, Suwon whispered to her. Mom, I miss you. I don't know if she was moved by Suwon's words or what, but Wang Lan also stopped struggling. At the same time, she extended her calloused hands to hug Suwon. Silly child, you miss your mom just from going to school. What if you live with your wife in the future and don't live with your mom? Wang Lan's face was full of a happy smile. Even after you get married, you'll still bring your mother with you, Suwon said, releasing her mother Wang Lan. Hearing Suwon's words, Wang Lan just smiled slightly and did not refute. Good. In the future, I'll bring you a son. No, I like daughters. Suwon took over the conversation. Okay, a daughter will do. Wang Lan smiled and collected the unsold vegetables from the stall onto the electric tricycle. After returning home, Wang Lan changed into an apron and greeted Suwon. You must be hungry. I'll cook for you now, so go do your homework quickly. Listening to her mother, Suwon returned to her room. But compared to the homework assigned by her teacher, Suwon felt that he should first find out what this god-level dog food system bound to him was all about. He had made a bet with Lin Shui that he would need to score in the top 1,000 in the monthly exam in half a month. Although with his current intelligence, it was not impossible for him to do it with his own efforts. But if there is a shortcut, who would want to study hard? Thinking about this, Suwon tried to communicate with the god-level dog food system bound to him. System? Fairy? No matter how Suwon called the god-level dog food system, the latter did not respond. Suddenly Suwon seemed to have thought of something, and he gave a slight smile. Treasure, I went for an infusion today. Shut up. Shut up. What's the matter? Upon hearing Suwon's oily romantic words, the god-level dog food system immediately responded to Suwon. I want to know more about the god-level dog food system. Suwon knew that he had only got a general idea of the god-level dog food system during the day. There was still a lot he didn't know about the system. The host can learn about the system by checking the Properties panel. Then let's open the Properties panel. Suwon commanded the god-level dog food system. Ding! Opening the Properties panel for the host. As the voice fell, a blue light screen that only Suwon could see appeared in front of him. Chapter 4, First Reward Redemption. Name, Suwon. Age, 18 years old. Bound to, Guiran. Unlocked special abilities, none. Dog killing value, 43/100. Sugar spreading level, LV1. Reward redemption store. 1,000 yuan in cash, 10 dog killing values. 1 lucky draw, 100 dog killing points. Basic strength enhancement, 100 dog killing points. Basic speed enhancement, 100 dog killing points. System. Evaluation, trash. Looking at the large amount of data that suddenly appeared in front of him, Suwon was instantly dumbfounded. What are all these things? But before Suwon could figure out what the various data on the attribute panel meant, the voice of the god-level dog food system resounded in his mind again. Ding! The host has opened the system panel for the first time. Do you want to receive a novice reward? Although Suwon didn't quite understand, he agreed to the free novice reward. Obtain. Ding! The novice reward is being issued to the host. Ding! The reward is 1 lucky draw, which the host can use for free. Lucky draw? Is it going to be like Lao Ma and play some probability game with me? Upon hearing the word raffle, Suwon, who had been poisoned by Lao Ma, trembled with fear. No! The system's raffles are absolutely fair and just. After receiving the dog food system's guarantee, Suwon began the raffle. Conduct the raffle. Ding! The raffle has begun. Suwon had thought that this god-level dog food system would at least conjure up a raffle wheel like the ones used at shopping malls. Unexpectedly, before even a few seconds had passed, he heard the result directly. Ding! Congratulations, host, you have won S-level ability 10-fold comprehension ability. 10-fold comprehension ability? Does that mean my current comprehension ability is 10 times that of a normal person? Suwon was instantly ecstatic. Just now, he was still having a headache because of his bet with his homeroom teacher Lin Shui. Unexpectedly, he had now won an S-level 10-fold comprehension ability in the lottery. If this ability could really be put to use, wouldn't Suwon just take off like a shot? Yes, the host now has 10 times the comprehension ability of a normal person. The dog food system answered directly in response to Suwon's query. That's great. Now there's a chance I'll be able to go to the same university as Guiran. Suwon had never thought that he would have the chance to go to the same university as Guiran. But now that he had such a freakishly high comprehension ability, he felt that it was no longer a dream. Suppressing his excitement, Suwon continued to ask about the attribute panel. By the way, what's this about the sugar giving level and the reward exchange shop? The system had previously explained to Suwon about the dog killing value in bound objects. Therefore, he was not curious about the dog killing value in bound objects that could only be increased by showing affection and giving sugar. What he was curious about was why there was also a sugar giving level and a reward exchange shop. Ding! Sugar spreading levels need to be upgraded by consuming dog killing points. Upgrading your sugar spreading level can upgrade the options in the reward exchange shop. The higher your sugar spreading level, the better the rewards you can exchange. Faced with Suwon's confusion, the system quickly gave an explanation. Oh, I see. So I can really exchange 10 dog killing points for a 1,000 yuan cash reward now? As if to test whether what the system said was true, Suwon asked the system. Yes. Good. Redeem the reward of 1,000 yuan in cash. After receiving a positive response from the God-level dog food system, Suwon directly ordered the system. Ding! 10 points of dog killing value has been deducted, and the reward has been successfully issued. Just then, Suwon was curious as to why he couldn't find the 1,000 yuan in cash despite looking left and right. His phone, which was on the table, suddenly lit up. After taking the phone and looking at it, Suwon immediately saw the text message he had just received. Dear user, your ICBC account 342901198110xxxxx received a transfer of 1,000 yuan at 1724 on March 7, 2022, currently about 1,002.50 yuan. Looking at the bank transfer information on his phone, Suwon was completely shocked. It was all real. He could really use the divine dog food system to redeem cash. Viewing the attribute panel. Following Suwon's instructions, the divine dog food system once again displayed Suwon's attribute panel in front of him. Name, Suwon. Age, 18 years old. Bound to, GUI Ran. Unlocked special ability, tenfold comprehension ability, S-Class. Dog killing value, 33/100. Sugar spreading level, LV1. Reward redemption store. 1,000 yuan in cash, 10 dog killing values. 1 lucky draw, 100 dog killing points. Basic strength enhancement, 100 dog killing points. Basic speed enhancement, 100 dog killing points. System evaluation, useless. Just as the system said, the original 43 dog killing points became 33. At the same time, there was an additional 10x comprehension in the special abilities column. Feeling the power of her god-level dog food system, Suwon jumped 3 feet in excitement. Anan, did you do your homework in there? Mom's food is almost ready. Hurry up and finish your homework and come out to eat. It seemed that she heard the noise in Suwon's room, and Wang Lan, Suwon's mother, shouted at her from the kitchen while she was stir-frying. Oh, I know, Mom. Suwon quickly responded. Thinking about the homework that the teacher had left during the day, which was like a book from another world, Suwon quickly picked up the textbook and flipped through it. Just a quick glance through the textbook was enough. Suwon felt as if the knowledge in the book was rushing into her head. He suddenly understood points that he had previously found difficult to understand. In just over 30 minutes, Suwon had completed most of the homework that he usually had to copy the next morning. Just as he finished the homework, he heard his mother Wang Lan's voice outside the door urging him to hurry. Come and eat first, or the food will get cold. Hearing her mother's words, Suwon put down the homework in her hands. As soon as she sat down at the table, Suwon saw that her mother had cooked her favorite dish today, braised pork. The tempting aroma of the braised pork was exactly the same as Suwon remembered from her previous life. Come and taste it, Mom made your favorite braised pork. You're now at the most critical time before the college entrance exam, so you need to nourish your body well. With these words, Suwon's mother Wang Lan put the few remaining pieces of braised pork into Suwon's bowl. Since her father's unexpected death, Suwon's family's financial situation has been poor. Even this piece of meat was bought by Wang Lan at a low price when the butcher was about to close. The reason was to supplement the nutrition of her son Suwon, who was preparing for the college entrance exam. Chapter 5, Only Studying Can Make Me Happy. Suwon picked up a piece of braised pork and put it in his mouth. The exact same taste as in his previous life once again struck his soul. He remembered that in his previous life, he had suffered from leukemia and could not eat meat. As a result, the last thing Suwon wanted to eat before he died was the braised pork his mother Wang Lan cooked. At the moment, tasting his favorite braised pork, tears instantly welled up in Suwon's eyes. He never thought that he would have the opportunity to taste his mother's braised pork again in this life. Wang Lan quickly noticed Suwon's unusual behavior and asked him anxiously. What's wrong, Anan? Why are you crying? Seeing her son suddenly in tears, Wang Lan was a little at a loss. Mom, it's okay, I just got some sand in my eyes. Suwon quickly tried to cover it up. Where did the sand come from in this room? Mom, let me show you. Wang Lan was about to get up and check, but Suwon stopped her directly. It's fine, it's already gone. Suwon tried hard to control her emotions. You're so weird today, my child. Wang Lan gave Suwon a reproachful look. Mom, you eat too, look at how thin you've become. Suwon didn't just enjoy herself as she had done before. Instead, she divided half of the braised pork in her bowl and put it in her mother Wang Lan's bowl. I'm not eating it. You need to strengthen your nutrition, you need to eat more. Wang Lan was about to refuse, but unexpectedly, her strong-willed daughter Suan held her hand down. If you don't eat it, I won't eat it either. Learning from Guiran, Suan directly applied this trick to her mother Wanglan. You child. Fine. Mom will eat it, Wanglan said, and stuffed a piece of braised pork into her mouth. Although Wanglan still spoke to Suan in a scolding tone, she was exceptionally happy in her heart. This was because it was the first time she felt that her son in front of her seemed to have grown up. He was no longer the rebellious and unruly child he once was. At this moment, Wanglan experienced the joy of being a mother that she had long missed. By the way, how are your last monthly exam results? As she ate dinner, Wanglan asked Suan. Hearing her mother ask about his grades, Suan felt a little embarrassed. Cough. Well, they haven't dropped. Suan could only give a vague answer. After all, he couldn't really show off his grades, which were the second lowest in the whole grade. But what Suan said wasn't wrong. With his grades, even if he wanted to drop, there would be room for it. It's not good that they haven't dropped. You have to work harder. Ranan has such good grades. In the future, if you and she don't get into the same university, she'll be taken by someone else. Guiran and Suan have been childhood friends since they were young. That's why Wanglan is particularly fond of Guiran. Mom. What are you talking about? Your son is only thinking about studying right now. Only studying can make me happy. Suan felt a little embarrassed when she heard her mother talk about Guiran so openly. Okay. I won't say anything. If you don't work hard, just don't regret it later. Wanglan stopped talking about Guiran. After dinner, when Suan was about to take the initiative to clear the table and go wash the dishes, his mother Wanglan took the dishes right out of his hands. You just go study, I don't need your help with this. With that, Wanglan pushed Suan into his room. Hearing his mother busy herself in the kitchen again, Suan secretly made up his mind. He must make his mother happy at the next monthly exam. Back in his room, Suan was just about to study when WeChat on his phone rang. When she opened the phone, she saw that the other person's profile picture was a pink bunny. Suan gave a faint smile. This was because the pink bunny was Guiran's WeChat profile picture, while Suan's profile picture was a cartoon image of a big gray wolf. You big idiot, what did teacher Lin keep you after class today? Guiran asked Suan directly and to the point. Suan looked at Iran's question and quickly replied on her phone. Teacher Lin thinks I'm too handsome and says I'll affect your studies. Guiran, who was reading a book, saw the phone light up and she quickly took it over. Seeing Suan's reply, Guiran helplessly rolled her eyes. Bah! Shameless! Looking at Guiran's reply, Suan giggled again. Okay, there's nothing else, just tell me to study hard. It's getting late, I won't keep you from studying, I need to read too. Suan knew that he shouldn't bother Guiran for too long at this time. Even though he still had a lot of interesting things to say to Guiran, he still chose to say goodnight to her. Yeah, I'm also about to read. Guiran replied to Suan. After they had said goodnight to each other, they both started studying hard. Suan did indeed gain 10 times the comprehension ability. But even if he had 10 times the comprehension ability, he still had to study and read. Otherwise, knowledge would not just pop into his head. Suan's grades were really poor, to put it bluntly. Even if he threw the answer sheet on the ground and stomped on it, he might get a higher score than him. So faced with the mountain of books in front of him, Suan had no choice but to dive in. Studying until 12 o'clock, Suan finally couldn't hold on anymore. Looking at the books that were still half read, Suan threw them aside. Study? Study my ass. It's not like it's the monthly exam tomorrow. After taking a shower, Suan went to bed to rest. The next day, Suan, who usually didn't get up until 6:30, woke up early. In his previous life, he had slept enough on the sickbed. In this life, as long as he got enough sleep, Suan didn't want to waste precious time in bed. Of course, in the future, sleeping together wasn't considered a waste of time. Although Suan waking up at 6 o'clock was considered early. But her mother, Wanglan, who goes to the market to sell vegetables, gets up at 3 or 4 in the morning to go to work. After washing and dressing, Suan arrives at school early. When she enters the classroom, she finds that most of the students have not yet arrived. There is only one girl, who usually studies very hard, standing outside the classroom reciting. The girl also notices Suan, who arrived early. As if she is afraid that she is seeing things, the girl rubs her eyes after seeing Suan. After confirming that the person was Suan, who had always ranked second to last in the entire grade, the girl felt as if the sun had risen in the west. Fortunately, as time passed, the students gradually arrived one after the other. Suan, who was concentrating on his reading, suddenly caught a faint fragrance. He knew that his classmate and school beauty, Guiran, had arrived. Chapter 6: A Promise to Go to the Same University. Seeing that Suan had actually come so early today, Guiran was also slightly surprised. Here, this is for you. After putting his school bag in the drawer, Guiran handed Suan several assignments that needed to be handed in today. There was quite a lot of homework yesterday, so you need to copy it quickly. It turned out that Guiran handed the assignments to Suan so that he could copy them. Every time he finished his homework, he had to rely on copying it from Guiran the next morning. But this time, when he saw the homework that Guiran handed him, Suan shook his head with a smile. No need, I finished my homework last night. Hearing Suan's words, Guiran, who was eating an egg, almost choked on it. After gulping down a few big mouthfuls of water, Guiran barely managed to swallow the egg. You say you finished your homework? Guiran looked at Suan like he was looking at an alien. Suan knew that the probability of him doing his homework was about the same as the probability of the pig character Zhu Beiji not falling in love with a beautiful woman. So when he saw Guiran's surprised expression, he didn't find it strange at all. Show me your homework. Seeing Suan, who had suddenly changed his attitude, Guiran extended his hand to the former, doubting. Seeing that Guiran didn't believe him, Suan had no choice but to take out the homework he had done last night. After half a minute, Guiran, who had roughly gone through all the homework, reached out and touched Suan's forehead. You don't have a fever, do you? No. Suan shrugged her shoulders at Guiran. Then what is it? Didn't I tell you? Teacher Lin Shui told me to work hard, otherwise what if I can't get into the same university as you? Suan spoke softly to Guiran. When she heard Suan say that she wanted to go to the same university as her, Guiran's face instantly turned red. Who said they wanted to go to the same university as you? Guiran was embarrassed and looked away. Ha? You don't want to go to the same university as me? Forget it then. Suan deliberately said to Guiran. Unexpectedly, when she heard Suan's words, Guiran immediately became anxious. No way. After some consideration, I will definitely lack the help of coolies to carry my luggage when I go to university in the future, so you have to go with me. But with your current grades. And considering that Suan managed to come in last in the entire grade last time, Guiran felt that it was a bit whimsical for her to want Suan to get into the same university as her. In fact, it wasn't that Guiran wanted to discourage Suan, as there really wasn't any need to do so with his grades. Don't worry, from now on I'll study hard and bring my intelligence to bear, just like Yen Zui and phase readers. Having gained tenfold comprehension, Suan wasn't worried about catching up to Guiran. Although his foundation is indeed a bit poor, there are still 3 months left. Suan is confident enough to catch up to Guiran. Really? Seeing that Suan seems to be truly prepared to study hard, a flash of light shines in Guiran's bright eyes. Of course it's true, I'm not lying to you. Suan said seriously, looking at Guiran. Well, how about this, if you can get into the same university as me, I'll grant you a wish, okay? Guiran knew that it would be difficult for Suan to catch up with her based on her grades, but she still wanted to give Suan some motivation to persevere. Upon hearing Guiran's words, Suan immediately agreed without hesitation. Even if Guiran did not offer this condition, Suan would still want to go to the same school as her. Now that the beautiful school flower and classmate was offering it for free, how could Suan refuse? Okay, let's pinky swear. It seems that Guiran is afraid that Suan will change her mind, so she specially asks Suan to pinky swear with her. Suan looks at Guiran's jade-like hand, which looks like a green onion, and extends her own hand. Pinky swear, no changing for 100 years. In this way, Guiran easily gives Suan a chance to make a wish. Ding! Feeling the envy of the single dog Lu Benwei, gain 10 points of dog-killing value. Ding! Feeling the envy of the single dog Simon Taizhu, you get 7 points of dog-killing value. Ding! Feeling the envy of the single dog Wang Hai, you get 1 point of dog-killing value. Seeing the goddess of his heart actually make a pinky swear with Suan. The male classmates in the class hated it so much that they wanted to bite their teeth. Damn it! What's so good about this Suan? He's just a little taller and a little more handsome than me. Still, how could the goddess fall for that guy who was at the bottom of the class in terms of academic performance? If it weren't for him holding down the position of being the bottom of the class, you would be the bottom. Seeing his classmate Sumu, who always ranked third from the bottom, actually making fun of Suan, who was always second from the bottom, Wang Hai couldn't help but shake his head. Damn it, do you think I ranked second from the bottom this time? It's all because I was assigned the same exam room as him, isn't it? I couldn't copy from anyone else, so I had to copy his answers. Sumu still felt aggrieved. That's not right. If you copied from him, how come he came first and you came second? Hearing his deskmate's explanation, Wang Hai felt something was wrong. I was afraid the teacher would find out that I had the same answers as him in the multiple choice questions, so I just changed a few of them. Sumu suddenly said to Wang Hai with a smug look on his face. Wang Hai, I never thought that such a small class could have two such talented students like you two. It is truly an honor for our Jinling Class 1. Wang Hai couldn't help but shake his head at his smug classmate Sumu. With the sound of reading echoing throughout the school, morning reading class began. How perilous. The road to Shu is difficult as climbing to the sky. If one rides the balance of heaven and earth and masters the 6 chi, then one can travel to the infinite. Suan's ears were filled with the sound of his classmates reciting, but he wasn't like them. Because he suddenly discovered something extremely important. Just as Suan was about to check how many dog killing points he had just gained, he suddenly discovered a secret. That is, he discovered that the dog killing points he had gained at the same time were arranged in descending order. Since he had awakened the god-level dog food system, he had gained dog killing points 3 times in total. Each time, they were arranged in descending order, and the dog killing points contributed by the last person each time were always the lowest 1 point. Thinking about this, he quickly called up the system. After telling the system his doubts, Suan finally received an explanation. It turned out that the kill points obtained from the same act of feeding the dog would gradually decrease. And in the future, when the same act of feeding the dog caused others to envy him, the kill points obtained would further decrease. This was equivalent to preventing the host from using the same act of feeding the dog to continuously accumulate points. It avoided the phenomenon of the host catching a few people and fleecing them. Chapter 7, Let the Endorser Do the Work? Upon hearing the system's explanation, Suan nodded as if he had understood. So that's how it works. Suan had originally wanted to exchange some more money by killing some more dogs. After all, his family's current financial situation was not very good. With money, he could slightly improve his family's life. But then he heard that the god-level dog food system actually had a mechanism to reduce the dog killing value. This undoubtedly shattered Suan's dream of getting rich by abusing single dogs. But it's better than nothing, just for a little while. He has aroused the envy of many male classmates and gained 23 points of dog killing value. If you add the remaining 33 points of dog killing value, he currently has a whopping 56 points. 56 points of dog killing value is enough to redeem him for 5,000 yuan in cash. Don't look at 5,000 yuan in the eyes of many rich second-generation classmates at school. But for the Suan family, 5,000 yuan is almost the equivalent of his mother Wang Lan's hard-earned money from selling vegetables for a month. However, because the school rules prohibit students from bringing mobile phones to school, Suan cannot see the cash arrive in his account even if he redeems the rewards now. So he has no choice but to redeem the 56 points now. What are you doing here, daydreaming? Just as Suan was about to pick up his book, a deep voice sounded beside him. The person who came was none other than the notorious Jinling High School guidance director Fan Jian. Fan Jian not only had a despicable name, but he was also quite despicable. His biggest hobby in his spare time was picking on the bad students in his eyes. Although Suan only disliked studying and had poor grades, in Fan Jian's eyes, Suan was the model bad student. Not only was she the model bad student, she was also the worst one. The reason was none other than Suan's last monthly exam, in which she ranked last in the entire school. Fan Jian, who had just been inspecting the morning reading sessions in each class, immediately caught Suan, who was deep in thought. If it had been in the past, Suan would have been punished by Fan Jian for catching him daydreaming and would have had to stand in the corner for the whole morning. But now Suan had not only been reborn, he had also gained 10 times the ability to comprehend. He was no longer the same Suan. I wasn't daydreaming, I was memorizing, Suan said, looking at Fan Jian fearfully. Wow, you've got some nerve. You got a 40 on the Chinese language exam last month, and I'm starting to doubt if you're even Chinese. How dare you talk back to me? Hearing the conversation between the head teacher Fan Jian and Suan, the whole class stopped. Director Fan, I don't think it's appropriate for you to say that about Suan. Guiran, who was sitting next to Suan, couldn't bear to hear Fan Jian humiliate Suan like that. Guiran, I know you have good grades, but this is none of your business. Suan is the focus of Fan Jian's care, so he knows that every time he scolds Suan, Guiran will stand up for him. Director Fan heard that Fan Jian was not going to let Suan off lightly today, and Guiran was prepared to continue arguing with Fan Jian. Unexpectedly, Suan interrupted her directly. Director Fan, do you have any evidence that I was daydreaming and not reciting the text? Suan asked, looking at Fan Jian with her head held high. Evidence? You want evidence? Just pick any ancient poem from this book that you have to memorize for the college entrance exam, and if you can recite it, then I'll admit that I wronged you. If you can't recite it, then take the book and go stand outside and listen to class for the rest of the day. Fan Jian picked up the Chinese textbook that Suan had placed on the table and threw it in front of her. Just as everyone thought that Suan would meekly admit defeat to Fan Jian, Suan directly threw the book into Fan Jian's hands, and then strode up to the podium in front of the entire class. Director Fan, I don't care which one you pick, just pick. If I don't recite one poem today, then I'll stand and listen to class for the rest of the day, just like you said. As soon as Suan finished speaking, the entire class fell silent. No one had ever seen such a domineering Suan before. But being intimidated by Suan's confident appearance was intimidating. Most people, like Fan Jian, thought that Suan was just bluffing. After all, no one would believe that someone who scored only 40 points in Chinese could memorize all the classical poems that must be memorized for the college entrance exam. Not to mention Suan, there were probably no more than 10 people in the entire class who could recite all the required classical poems word for word. Fine. You're pretending to be smart today, aren't you? I'll see how many lines you can recite. Seeing Suan's confident expression, Fan Jian directly picked up the textbook that Suan had thrown at him. Unsurprisingly, Fan Jian directly picked a longer poem for Suan to recite. I won't make it difficult for you with the longest ones, just recite by Judy's The Pipa Song. Guiran couldn't help rolling her eyes at Fan Jian's words. Although the Pipa Xing was not as long as the eulogy of the Palace of Afan and not as obscure as Chu Yuan's Li Sa, it was considered to be one of the more difficult ancient poems to memorize. Fan Jian deliberately chose Pipa Xing. Not only did he show the other students that he had not picked the most difficult ancient poem to make things difficult for Suan, he also gave Suan a difficult problem. It can be described as extremely bad. After he announced the Pipa song, Suan stood on the stage without saying a word. Fan Jian's face showed a smug smile. What's wrong? Didn't you just say you could recite everything? Why are you so quiet now? As Fan Jian mocked her, several male classmates who were usually very jealous of Suan joined in the jeering. Yes. Don't delay our studies, okay? After glancing at the few who were jeering at her most happily, Suan slowly spoke. At nightfall on Xuanyang River, I see guests off, with maple leaves and reeds rustling in the autumn wind. The host dismounts his horse, the guests remain on the boat, raising their cups to drink, but there is no music. The sound of their voices is sad, and when everyone in the room hears it, they all hide their tears. Who among the guests cries the most? Zhangzhou's prefect is so sad, his green shirt is wet with tears. When Suan finished reciting the last line of The Pipa Player, Guiran was the first to excitedly applaud. She had never imagined that Suan could actually recite the entire poem. With Guiran taking the lead, everyone applauded, except for a few boys who had just mocked Suan. The rest of the students also applauded. It turned out that after gaining 10 times the comprehension ability yesterday, Suan's first action was to memorize all the ancient poems that he would have to recite in the college entrance exam. This was the easiest for him, because he could get the corresponding score just by memorizing it. And because of his tenfold comprehension ability, he understood Bai Juyi's Pipa Xing exceptionally thoroughly. He expressed Bai Juyi's depressed state of mind, with nowhere to vent, through his mouth. That's why he won the warm applause of his classmates. Chapter 8, everyone was clearly helping their classmate. When they saw Suan standing on the podium reciting Bai Juyi's Pipa Xing word for word, Fan Jian was instantly dumbfounded. What evil has befallen me today? Why did he pick the only poem he knew by heart? Fan Jian still couldn't believe that Suan, who scored 40 points in Chinese, could recite all the required ancient poems by heart. Director Fan, may I ask if I made any mistakes just now? Suan asked, standing on the podium and looking at Fan Jian. No, no. Fan Jian answered, gritting his teeth. Since the whole class was watching, even if he wanted to renege, there was no chance. Since I haven't made a single mistake, why haven't you fulfilled our agreement and apologized to me? As soon as Suan spoke, the whole class fell silent. No one expected Suan to dare to defy the notoriously strict head teacher Fan Jian. Some of the students who had been severely reprimanded by Fan Jian on a daily basis couldn't help but give Suan a thumbs up when they saw what he had done. Hearing Suan's words, Fan Jian's face instantly turned ashen. When did you ever hear me say that I would apologize to you? I said if you can recite it, I'll admit that I wrongly accused you, but I didn't say I'd apologize to you. Fan Jian thought he had found a loophole in his bet with Suan and looked at Suan triumphantly. Kid, you're nowhere near ready to fight me. Fan Jian thought to himself. Although Fan Jian was not prepared to apologize to Suan, he knew he was in the wrong. So he told his classmates to continue their morning reading and then slipped away. Seeing Fan Jian leave, Suan also returned to her seat. Looking at the fleeing Fan Jian, Guiran pouted with anger. This director Fan is shameless, clearly losing a bet with you and not admitting defeat. Not to mention that Suan recited the Pipa song in its entirety. Even if Suan couldn't recite a single word, Guiran would still stand firmly by Suan's side. So when she saw that Fan Jian had left without apologizing to Suan, Guiran was even more angry than if she had been framed herself. Seeing Guiran's cute, angry face, Suan gave a small smile. Okay. It's just Fan Jian, I have plenty of ways to deal with him. No one, including Guiran, could have guessed at that moment that Suan had deliberately not forced Fan Jian to apologize. The reason was simple, all 40 students in the class were witnesses. If the head of the year did something wrong and then regretted it, the news would spread like wildfire. By that time, the punishment that Fan Jian would receive would definitely be much more serious than if he apologized to Suan. That was why Suan had not told Fan Jian right from the start that he would have to apologize. Although Suan was still an 18-year-old high school student, he had already lived 2 lives. Really? Guiran looked at Suan doubtfully. Of course, it's not easy to deal with someone else, but it's not hard to deal with a jerk, right? Suan patted her chest and assured Guiran. Hearing Suan's assurance, Guiran suddenly remembered something important. Right, did you really memorize all the ancient poems and songs, or did you just get lucky? Like Fan Jian, Guiran was also interested in how many ancient poems and songs Suan could recite. Facing Guiran's question, Suan did not give a direct answer. Guess? Guess your sister. Guiran angrily punched Suan's arm. Ding! Envy from single dog Wang Lei sensed, 10 points of dog killing value gained. Ding! Envy from single dog Sun Dayao sensed, 7 points of dog killing value gained. Ding! Feeling the envy from the single dog Lu Hui, gaining 1 point of dog killing value. Just as Guiran's pink fist landed on Suan, the voice of the dog food system sounded in his head. Fuck! Envy even when you're getting beaten up? Are these people sick? Suan glanced at Wang Lei, Sun Dayao, and the others whose names had been called out. Looking at the group of people, they revealed an expression of immense envy, as if they couldn't wait to take the beating for themselves. In her heart, Suan cursed these people for having problems with their brains. Of course, Guiran would not actually hit him hard, but just pretend to. Hearing the value of killing dogs ringing in her head, Suan felt a little uncouth. So he asked the god-level dog food system. Can you change the name of the value of killing dogs? Ding! The host's desire to replace the word value of killing dogs has been detected. Please enter the word you want to replace it with. After hearing Suan's request, the divine dog food system quickly responded. Seeing that the word dog killing value could really be replaced, Suan quickly racked his brain. After half a minute, Suan ordered the divine dog food system. Let's call it sugar spreading value, it sounds more comfortable and the meaning is more or less the same. Ding! Replacement complete. Suan's words had just finished falling and he had received feedback from the system. Just as Suan picked up the Chinese textbook in his hands, ready to make up for the lessons he had missed before. Unexpectedly, Chinese teacher Wu Aijuan appeared directly beside him. Chatting during morning reading class? Go stand outside in punishment. Looking at the Chinese teacher in front of him, who was not even taller than himself in her high heels, Suan helplessly rolled his eyes. It was true that Fan Jian said he could explain if he was daydreaming, but there was no way he could explain being caught by the Chinese teacher talking secretly with Guiran. Suan picked up her Chinese textbook and walked directly outside the classroom. Seeing that Suan had obediently obeyed and stood outside, the Chinese teacher Wu Aijuan was about to go back to her office for breakfast. You have to know that the third year of high school morning reading class is 20 minutes earlier than the first and second years. Generally, only very responsible teachers will come and see how their classes are doing in the morning. But just as Wu Aijuan was about to leave, Lu Mingqi, the discipline committee member who usually loves to report on others, immediately stood up. Teacher Wu, Guiran, and Suan were chatting, and she. In fact, Lu Mingqi is also very pretty, and she would be the school beauty in any other class. But unfortunately, she was in the same class as Guiran, who was blessed with a stunning appearance and figure. She could only be the supporting character. Over time, she became extremely jealous of Guiran. Now that she had the chance, she naturally wanted to get even with Guiran. But before she could finish, Wu Aijuan interrupted her. Guiran was clearly just being helpful to a classmate who was struggling, so how could it be idle chatter? Okay, stop it, or my breakfast will get cold. Wu Aijuan really didn't like the idea of Lu Mingqi tattling. So without waiting for Lu Mingqi to respond, Wu Aijuan just made an excuse and walked away. Chapter 9, Suan's Change. Suan didn't feel anything when he was punished to stand outside the classroom. After all, in both his previous life and this life, he had been a frequent visitor to the punishment bench. However, suddenly Suan felt a familiar fragrance drifting towards his nose. He looked over his shoulder and saw that Guiran had been standing next to him since he didn't know when. What are you doing here? Suan knew that a good student like Guiran, who excelled in both character and studies, would never be punished to stand here like him. The air outside is fresher, so I came out to get some fresh air and study a bit. With that, Guiran closed the Chinese textbook in her hands and began reciting. Long sighs to hide tears, lamenting the hardships of the people. Faced with Guiran's lame excuse, Suan just smiled and shook her head, not calling him out on it. However, from time to time during the class, someone would glance out the window, their eyes full of envy and jealousy for Suan. The 40-minute morning reading class passed quickly, and Suan and Guiran returned to their seats. Suan, you're really something today. Suan had just returned to her seat when a chubby guy jumped in front of her. The boy in front of her was Song Qian, and the two of them were Jinling Middle School's first-class geniuses. They were known as the Peerless Pair. The two of them had always ranked first and second last in class, and nothing had ever gone wrong. As long as Suan and Song Qian were around, no one was stupid enough to get in the bottom two. It was really not easy to get into the bottom two. The two had always ranked at the bottom, so they were kindred spirits and became good friends. Because Suan was 2 months older than Song Qian called Suan brotherin. Looking at Song Qian in front of him, Suan's eyes also carried a trace of excitement. In his previous life, after learning that his best friend Suan had leukemia, Song Qian gave Suan all the money he had saved from working odd jobs and handing out flyers over the past 3 years, money he had been saving up to buy a motorcycle after graduation. This was also what Suan heard from his mother Wang Lan when he was lying on his deathbed in his previous life. So when he saw Song Qian at the moment, Suan also had mixed emotions. Fortunately, after 2 lifetimes of experience, Suan had seen through the vicissitudes of life and was able to hide his emotions well. What's wrong? Suan asked in a carefree manner. You've made the grumpy ghost speechless, aren't you awesome? You're like a heifer standing on its head, so proud. Song Qian had a chubby figure and quite a talent for crosstalk. Hearing the idiom from Song Qian's mouth, Guiran, who was sitting nearby, helplessly rolled her eyes. Okay, the bell will ring soon for class, so you should go back. Because Guiran still had some questions for Suan. So she urged Song Qian to go back to his seat. Song Qian was a foolhardy youth, so how could he tell what Guiran meant? He just pointed at the clock on the wall and looked at Guiran and answered. It was just the end of morning reading class, and there were still 10 minutes before class started. Seeing that Song Qian really didn't understand what she meant, Guiran gave him a stern look. If you don't go back to your seat, I'll tell Hu Qian that you like her. Although the majority of Jinling High School boys' dream girlfriends were Guiran, there were still people who liked other girls. Song Qian liked a girl named Hu Qian from the next class. Hearing Guiran's threat, Song Qian immediately shook his head. No. Miss Gu, I'll go back right now. After saying that, Song Qian ran directly back to his seat without looking back. He was afraid that if he was a moment late, Guiran would tell Hu Qian his secret. Seeing Song Qian leave, Guiran looked at Suan. Tell me the truth, did you really memorize all those ancient poems? Suan had only just promised to study hard and try to get into the same university as him. If he really had memorized all the ancient poems that would be on the college entrance exam, Gui Ran would know that Suan was serious about keeping his promise. Facing Gui Ran's repeated questioning, Suan surrendered. Well, thinking that this is an easy way to get good grades, so I memorized all of them, Suan explained to Gui Ran. Hearing Suan's affirmative answer, although Gui Ran was pleased, a trace of shock still appeared in his eyes. Because in the last monthly exam, Suan still didn't get any points for ancient poetry. He was even able to write the poem "How Much Sorrow Can You Have" on the exam paper, just like a eunuch going to a brothel. It was enough to make the Chinese teacher Wu Aijuan die of anger. He was able to memorize all the required classical poems in just a few days? If you don't believe me, you can test me. Suan knew that this progress was a bit too fast, and it would indeed be difficult for Gui Ran to adapt for a while. So he said to Gui Ran. A moment later, Gui Ran's face revealed a sweet smile. Forget it, I believe you. To Suan's surprise, Gui Ran did not do as the head teacher Fan Jian had done. Instead, he chose to believe in Suan. But you can't just memorize all this, you've fallen behind in too many lessons. If there's anything you don't understand, you can always come and ask me, don't be embarrassed. Afraid that Suan would feel embarrassed asking him questions, Gui Ran specifically told him. Got it. Suan nodded. He would never feel embarrassed, he would love to ask Gui Ran more questions. That way, he could spend more time with her. After chatting for a while, the bell rang for class to start. It was not unusual to have 2 Chinese and 2 math classes in the morning. Suan would not disturb Gui Ran, who was studying hard, during class. The only unusual thing was that Suan, who usually slept in class, was actually listening attentively. Although Suan had fallen behind in his studies, even with his 10 times better comprehension ability, he still had difficulty absorbing the material. After all, learning is like building a house. If the foundation is not laid firmly, it is impossible to build a tall and big house. However, his serious and improving attitude was still noticed by the 2 teachers. When the 4th class bell rang, the rest of the students went to the cafeteria to prepare for dinner. Suan, however, still sat in his seat without getting up. What's wrong? Aren't you going to eat? Gui Ran blinked her big, watery eyes and asked Suan in confusion. You go ahead and eat. I want to finish this problem before I eat. Suan looked at a permutation and combination problem in the textbook and looked a little distressed. Seeing that Suan wanted to finish the problem before eating, Gui Ran couldn't help but feel warm in her heart. She knew that Suan had suddenly become so hardworking because of her promise. Chapter 10, I Love Learning, and Learning Loves Me. Seeing that Suan was going to wait before eating, Gui Ran also put down the pink lunchbox in her hands. She sat quietly and waited for him. After about 10 minutes, Suan used his 10-fold comprehension ability to review all the knowledge points about permutations and combinations. He finally successfully solved the problem that had puzzled him when the teacher explained it in class. In the cafeteria, it was just like usual. Suan, who was sitting with the stunningly beautiful school beauty Gui Ran, had angered an unknown number of male students. Ding! Envy from single dog Yi Liangchen sensed, gaining 3 sugar sprinkling points. Ding! Envy from single dog Zhao Ritian sensed, gaining 2 sugar sprinkling points. Ding! Feeling the envy of the single dog Yi fan, gaining 1 point of sugar spreading value. Although Suan has gained another wave of sugar spreading value, due to the system's point decay mechanism. The reward for sugar spreading value Suan gains when she has dinner with Gui Ran has become lower and lower. In the end, it has completely turned into only a little sugar spreading value. Of course, although this point reward has suddenly dropped a lot, it's still the old saying, better than nothing. Being envied by the male compatriots once is enough to earn Suan about 10 sugar points. Because Suan's mother Wang Lan has to get up very early every morning to go to work. Suan's lunch is basically the leftovers from the night before. Naturally, the leftovers are nowhere near as good as Gui Ran's sumptuous lunch. But every time, Gui Ran will give Suan half of the tastiest and most nutritious food in her lunchbox. Here, have this. Gui Ran looked at the 2 braised chicken legs in her lunchbox. Naturally, she picked one up and put it in Suan's lunchbox. Seeing Suan staring at her, Gui Ran lifted her slender arm. You see, if I keep eating, I'll get fat, so you're doing me a favor by eating half of it for me. I should be thanking you. If it had been the heartless Suan from a previous life, she might have believed Gui Ran's words at the moment. Having lived 2 lives, Suan knew Gui Ran's little secret thoughts like the back of her hand. But Suwon didn't refuse either. In the face of Guiran's intentions, he accepted them all. The reason was none other than that in Suwon's opinion, the beautiful and gentle girl in front of him would be the one he would protect for the rest of his life. Although he might not have enough strength to protect the girl right now. But he believed that one day he could grow up to that point. Guiran's eyes were also filled with tenderness as he watched Suwon devour her food. After a simple lunch, Suwon took Guiran's lunchbox and washed it together. When Suwon and Guiran returned to the classroom, most of the students had already sat down and started studying again. This was life in the third year of high school. The only thing to do every day besides eat and sleep was study. Although the students would return to their seats to study after eating, there were still 3 classes in the afternoon. Therefore, most students choose to read for a short while and then take a nap for 20 to 30 minutes to recharge their energy. Having completed half of the English test paper, Guiran was also feeling a bit tired. Looking at Suwon, who was still absorbed in reading, she glanced at the many students who had already rested their heads on the desk. Guiran quietly asked Suwon, "Idiot, aren't you going to rest yet?" In the past, Suwon would go back to the classroom to take a nap as soon as she finished eating, and she couldn't even be woken up. That's why Guiran asked Suwon so quietly. Hearing Guiran's voice, Suwon also quietly leaned her head over. "You go ahead and sleep, I'm not sleepy." Just as she had said before, even if Suwon had gained 10 times the comprehension ability, the knowledge points she had previously fallen behind still needed to be picked up slowly. Looking at the Suwon in front of her, who was completely different from the previous lazy and carefree one, Guiran's heart was both happy and sad. She was happy that Suwon was willing to make such a big change to keep their promise. She was sad because she knew how much suffering Suwon would have to endure to catch up with her. "Okay, you should get some rest soon." Looking at Guiran, who was close to her, Suwon, as if possessed, pinched the latter's blushing face. Seeing Suwon actually make such an intimate gesture towards her, Guiran's face instantly turned red. In order to prevent Suwon from noticing her blushing face, Guiran quickly turned her head away and pretended to be resting on the desk. Suwon, who hadn't noticed anything unusual, continued to study the mathematics book in her hands, solving the function problems that gave many top students a headache. Although Guiran hadn't aroused Suwon's suspicions, her heart was pounding. However, as time passed, Guiran, who was a little tired after listening to the morning class, slowly drifted off to sleep. Outside the classroom, the homeroom teacher, Lin Shui, had just finished using the bathroom and was on her way back to her office to continue organizing lesson plans. Unexpectedly, as she passed by her classroom, she suddenly froze. "Is that Suwon?" All the students in the classroom except Suwon had already rested their heads on their desks. He was the only one still writing on the draft paper with a pen in his hand. "My goodness, am I seeing things?" Lin Shui never imagined that Suwon, who was known as the sleeping Buddha in class, was actually the only one still trying to study in the class. But thinking about Suwon's promise to her yesterday after school, Lin Shui's mouth curled up slightly. "Good guy, I didn't realize you were such a little sweetheart." Lin Shui didn't enter the classroom, shook the water droplets in her hands, and walked directly back to her office. Phew! Suwon let out a soft sigh as he watched all his classmates close their eyes and rest. After studying all morning and at lunch, he had already mastered 40% of the knowledge points to be examined in the college entrance exam mathematics. With his current level, it is not a problem to get 60 to 70 points in the next monthly math test. Don't look at 60 to 70 points as a score that only a genius can get by deliberately getting it wrong. For Suwon, who only guessed 2 multiple-choice questions right in the last monthly math test, this is already a huge improvement. Looking at Guiran's delicate features and oval face, Suwon's heart was filled with strength. "In my previous life, I was weak and ultimately lost you. I won't make the same mistake again in this life." Afraid that Guiran would catch a cold while asleep, Suwon took off the school uniform jacket he was wearing and draped it over Guiran's body. The lunch break was very short, and with the ringing of a bell, the afternoon classes began. Although class was about to start, Suwon was exceptionally excited. Because the first class this afternoon is their only PE class of the week, which is only on Tuesday afternoon and Friday afternoon. The author has something to say. Those who have read this far, remember to encourage me to continue writing and leave a good review. Chapter 11, Who is the Real Loser? Go play ball, what are you daydreaming about? Songqian immediately greeted Suwon as soon as the bell for PE class had just rung. This is because the current Suwon is the soul of the 25-year-old Suwon from her previous life who has crossed over. If it were the previous Suwon, he would have rushed to the playground before the bell even rang. He was afraid that even before the physical education bell rang, he would have already rushed to the playground. Because Suwon and the others were already in their third year of high school. The physical education teacher would not require them to attend physical education class or anything. After running 2 laps of the 400-meter playground, everyone was free to go. After the 800-meter run, Song Qian saw that Suwon still had not moved to play basketball with him. Song Qian called out to Suwon again. "Aren't you playing basketball today, Eng?" Upon hearing Song Qian's query, Guiran also looked at Suwon next to him. Not playing basketball? In Guiran's impression, Suwon's favorite class should be gym class. Because only during gym class can he happily play basketball without having to think about anything else. I want to go back and study. Studying makes me happy. Suwon scratches his head in response to Guiran's question. Guiran pouts when she hears Suwon's answer. Studying is important, but you can't neglect your health. And studying also involves a balance between work and rest. You won't be very efficient if you keep sitting in class reading. As a top student, Guiran naturally has a wealth of experience in how to study. Hurry up, Eng, everyone in class 2 is here, and our class is waiting for you. Song Qian was also urging Suwon from the side. Suwon is not very tall, only about 1.78 meters. But because he exercises regularly and likes basketball, his basketball level is among the best in Jinling High School. Now that the 5 people from class 2 are in place, they are just waiting for Suwon's class to gather 5 people to play a basketball game. Hurry up! Hearing Song Qian's urging, Guiran said to Suwon with a gentle face. In the end, Suwon chose to follow Guiran's advice to combine work with play. On the basketball court, the tall man leading the second-grade basketball team raised the corner of his mouth when he saw Suwon join in. Humph. Trash, you're not even worthy of being close to the goddess Iran. Since you like to be so close to the goddess Iran, then I'll let her see how you're crushed by me. The man's name is Lin Ming, and he is a member of the Jinling High School men's basketball team. Without a doubt, for the vast majority of Jinling High School boys, the dream goddess is Guiran. Lin Ming has also been infatuated with her for a long time. He thought that with his tall build and handsome appearance, he could easily win the heart of the school flower, Guiran. Who knew that like most boys, Guiran simply didn't have any impression of him. So Suwon, who walked very close to Guiran, became the object of Lin Ming's envy and jealousy. Just as Lin Ming was thinking about how to defeat Suwon in the upcoming basketball game, Suwon had already walked to the center of the basketball court. Hey, have you had enough? She won't like you if you keep looking. Seeing Lin Ming staring straight at Guiran, who was sitting on the sidelines of the basketball court looking like a fairy, Suwon mercilessly mocked. If someone else had said this, Lin Ming wouldn't have cared. But when it came from Suwon, a worthless person with no money and no achievements, Lin Ming was furious. Don't be smug, wait and see how I'll abuse you until there's nothing left of you, and whether Guiran will still like you. Lin Ming said, viciously, waiting for Suwon to respond. Seeing Lin Ming, who thought that a basketball game would be enough to change his position in Guiran's heart, Suwon shook his head and laughed. Childish. You. Heard Suwon actually dare to call you childish, Lin Ming wanted to pick up the basketball and slam it directly on Suwon's head. Beep. With the whistle blowing, the basketball match between Jinling High School's first and second classes officially kicked off. Many female students who were originally preparing to go back to class to study also came to the basketball court to watch the game. Needless to say about the boys, this kind of basketball match between classes represents the face of the boys in their respective classes. Moreover, the school beauty, Guiran, was also watching the game on the basketball court, and they could also take the opportunity to peek at the school beauty a few times. Who would miss such a good thing? As a result, the basketball court, which was not originally full of people, was instantly filled with people from the 2 classes. Although the 5 people on Suwon's side all loved basketball and were good at it, they were clearly not on the same level as Class 2, led by school team member Lin Ming. If it weren't for Suwon single-handedly turning the tide, after just 10 minutes of play, Suwon's side would have been pulled down by more than 20 points. With Lin Ming scoring 3-pointers and slam dunks one after the other. The remaining 4 people on Suwon's side not only had their energy depleted, but their confidence was also being crushed by Lin Ming's fierce offense. Looking at Suwon, who was panting heavily, Lin Ming gave him a thumbs down and a sign of booing. Although Lin Ming didn't say a word, Suwon could tell from his mouth shape that he was saying the 2 words worthless to him. Thinking that continuing like this was no solution, Suwon suddenly thought of something in his reward redemption store that seemed to be able to come in handy. System, open my attribute panel. Suwon commanded the god-level dog food system during the short break. As soon as Suwon's words landed, the blue light screen that only Suwon could see appeared in front of him again. Name, Suwon. Age, 18. Bound to, GUI ran. Unlocked special ability, tenfold comprehension, S-class. Sugar value, 101/100. Sugar level, LV1. Reward redemption store. 1000 yuan in cash, 10 sugar value. 1 lucky draw, 100 sugar value. Basic strength enhancement, 100 sugar value. Basic speed enhancement, 100 sugar points. System evaluation, waste. With the blue light screen appearing, Suwon immediately saw the reward in the reward exchange shop, basic speed enhancement. System, exchange my rewards for basic speed enhancement. Looking at the points she had, which were just enough to exchange for the basic speed enhancement reward, Suwon said to the god-level dog food system. Ding! 100 sugar points have been deducted, and the basic speed enhancement reward has been successfully issued. As the voice of the godly dog food system sounded, Suwon felt something reacting inside him. Suddenly, he felt very warm. Fortunately, this abnormal change quickly disappeared. Ding! The host's speed attribute has increased by 50%. Hearing the system's voice, Suwon, who had returned to the basketball court, raised the corner of his mouth slightly. Next, he would let Lin Ming know who the real waste was. Chapter 12, The School Beauty shocked the audience by delivering water. So, are you ready to accept the humiliation of being pulled 40 points behind by me? Lin Ming asked arrogantly, looking at Suwon, who had once again stood opposite him, now having the upper hand in the score. 40 points? You can't do it? Suwon, who had received a speed reminder, said lightly to Lin Ming. A glance at the scoreboard showed that the score between Class 1 and Class 2 was 29-47. Suwon's Class 1 was trailing Lin Ming's Class 2 by a full 18 points. Facing this gap, many of Jinling's Class 1 students revealed disappointed expressions. Although they were not the ones fighting for their class on the basketball court, they also hoped that their class could win this basketball game. Humph. Stubborn as a dead duck. There are still 20 minutes until class ends, I'll see how long you can hold out. Lin Ming said to Suwon with disdain. A class only lasts 45 minutes, and once the bell rings, the basketball game will also come to an end. Beep. With the whistle blowing again, the game, which had been paused for a few minutes, continued. Having gained half a speed boost, Suwon, who had returned to the game, was like a different person. Like a runaway horse, she galloped directly onto the basketball court. A few balls that could have potentially lost points were also directly snatched back by the agile Suwon. Facing Suwon's terrifying speed, even Lin Ming, who was on the school basketball team, gradually became unable to hold back. A flick. Suwon, who was just being guarded by Lin Ming, broke through Lin Ming's defense the next second. Before Lin Ming could react, the ball in Suwon's hand had already entered the basket. This made Lin Ming instantly dumbfounded. How is this possible? Lin Ming didn't dare to believe that Suwon's skills could improve so much in just a few minutes. But the slap in the face was that in the next 5 shots, he failed to block Suwon. In about 10 minutes, Suwon led his 4 teammates to recover 15 points. And with the reversal of the offensive and defensive situations, Class 2, where Lin Ming was, actually didn't get a single point. Seeing that they were only 3 points away from Class 2, Suwon returned Lin Ming's taunts to him. What do you think? I told you you couldn't do it, right? Facing Suwon's taunts, Lin Ming was so angry that he wanted to pull Suwon over and beat him up. Guys, cheer up and defend. Although Lin Ming cheered on his teammates, Suwon, who had gained a speed bonus, was indeed not something they could handle. Just as the final bell rang at the end of the class, with Suwon's last ball into the frame, the basketball team led by him not only recovered the points lost in the first half, and even overtook by 7 points. Although 7 points is not much, it is important to note that this was after they had fallen behind by 18 points at the beginning of the second half. From this it can be seen that Suwon's performance in the second half can be described as if he had divine assistance. Even many of the girls watching the game on site had a good impression of Suwon. Although Suwon's grades are not very good, he is still quite handsome. Yes. Not only is he handsome, but he also plays basketball so well. Suwon never imagined that just a simple basketball game would earn him so many fans. Hearing the whistle blow at the end of the game, he watched as he lost by 7 points. Lin Ming angrily smashed the basketball against the backboard. As the result of the game was announced, the group of students gathered around the court let out a surprise cheer. They won! Seeing the end of the game, Guiran, who had been sitting on the side, walked up to Suan under the gaze of many boys. Here, take it. In front of dozens of classmates on the court, Guiran handed Suan the mineral water she had prepared. Seeing the beautiful school flower actually personally delivering water to Suan, a group of boys couldn't help but want to kick Suan away and take his place. Oh, heavens and earth! Where exactly am I inferior to Suan? I'm just not as tall or handsome as him, but apart from that, what am I not as good as him at? A boy was jealous when he saw Guiran bringing Suan water. What are you daydreaming about? If you don't drink it, I'll just throw it away. Guiran said deliberately when she saw Suan staring blankly at the water in her hands. Guiran really didn't care about other people's opinions. But she was still a little embarrassed when she was stared at by dozens of classmates. After all, she was a girl, and her face was definitely not as thick-skinned as Suan's. Drink! Seeing that Guiran was about to put the water away, Suan quickly took the mineral water from her hands. Ding! Feeling the envy of the single dog Lin Ming, gain 15 sugar points. Ding! Feeling the envy of the single dog Dong Meng Xiong, gain 13 sugar points. Ding! Feeling the envy of the single dog Zhang Su, gain 10 sugar points. Ding! Feeling the envy of single dog Wang Rui, you get 1 point of sugar spreading value. Just as Suan took the mineral water from Guiran's hands, a series of prompts for gaining points sounded in her head. Perhaps it was because this time, seeing the school flower give Suan water caused a relatively serious trauma to many single dogs. The highest sugar spreading value Suan received was a full 15 points. You have to know that 15 points of sugar spreading value can be exchanged for 1,500 yuan. And the biggest value of this sugar spreading was actually provided by the opponent Lin Ming. When she thought about this, Suan couldn't help but laugh. Because in Suan's eyes, Lin Ming was really miserable. Not only did the goddess bring him water, he also became a tool for him to gain points. There is probably nothing more miserable in the world than this. Looking at Suan, who was still cared for by the school beauty Guiran, Lin Ming's eyes hid a trace of resentment. Although the gym class was 2 consecutive classes, after a fierce basketball game, Suan no longer had any interest in continuing the gym class. So he returned to the classroom accompanied by Guiran. System, check how many sugar points I have left. The first thing Suan did after returning to the classroom was to ask the system how many points he had accumulated this time. Ding! The host currently has a total of 115 remaining sugar points. Within a few seconds, Suan heard a response from the god-level dog food system. Holy shit! It's actually this much. Suan was quite surprised to have gained more than 100 sugar points at once. In fact, if it weren't for the system's reward decay mechanism, Suan could have gained several hundred sugar points just this once. However, Suan was already very satisfied with gaining more than 100 sugar points at once. The next 2 sections are Suan's most hated physics classes in his previous life. In Suan's words, when he studied physics, he just listened to physics, like looking at physics in the fog, and ignored physics. P.S. Those of you who have read this far, remember to leave a comment and add this book to your bookshelf. I bow to you all. Chapter 13, I really didn't see it. If Suan from his previous life had been allowed to study physics properly, he would have probably become a shut-in on the spot. Fortunately, Suan now had the ability to comprehend 10 times better than the rest. This finally allowed him to understand what the teacher on the stage was talking about. With Suan paying serious attention, the 2 physics classes passed by extremely quickly, and before he knew it, it was time to go home. When school let out, Suan naturally went home with Guiran, accompanied by the envious stares of his classmates. Idiot, did you understand the 2 questions in physics class today? Guiran walked side by side with Suan, then suddenly turned to look at the latter. She knew that Suan really wanted to study hard now, but it seemed that there were some things that Suan didn't understand during physics class. So she asked Suan. Well, there are indeed a few key points that I haven't understood, and I haven't figured out the force analysis of the electromagnetic field. Like other subjects, Suan has to start from the basics. Therefore, for some slightly difficult topics, he indeed cannot master them all. Guiran gave a faint smile when she heard Suan's honest answer to her question. Why don't you come to my house and I'll explain it to you? My mother has been saying that she hasn't seen you for a long time. Suwon was not considered an outstanding child by most people. But Guiran's parents really liked Suwon. Of course, it wasn't just because Suwon and Guiran had grown up together. It was also because Gu Hong, Guiran's father, and Sunan, Suwon's father, had been comrades in arms. During an assignment, Sunan had even saved Gu Hong's life when the latter was just clinging to life. Since Sunan and Gu Hong were not only comrades in arms, but also saved Gu Hong's life, the two families were particularly close. It could even be said that after Suwon's father died in a car accident, Guiran's parents were kind to Suwon beyond words. Suwon had only been away from Guiran's house for half a month, and Guiran's mother Jiang Xiaoyan was already nagging Guiran. In the past, Suwon would have immediately agreed. But now it was Suwon from the previous life, and he was really a little embarrassed in the face of Guiran's invitation. Seeing Suwon hesitate in the face of his invitation, Guiran immediately pouted. "What's wrong? You're not happy to play with me anymore, are you? Is there some little girl at school you like, or should I go talk to her for you?" Hearing Guiran's words, Suwon waved his hands repeatedly. No. I'm just afraid that the college entrance exam is coming up soon, and going to your house now will affect your studies. It won't affect you. I can even help you understand the problems better if I explain them to you. Guiran quickly replied to Suwon. Okay then. Since Guiran had already said that, Suwon had no choice but to nod in agreement. The two homes were not far from the school, and it took about 10 minutes to walk to Guiran's home. As soon as she opened the door, Guiran heard her mother Jiang Xiaoyan's voice. Ran is home, I'll start cooking right away. Oh, and In is here too. Yesterday, your auntie was telling Ran that you haven't come over to play for a long time. Jiang Xiaoyan's face immediately lights up with a gentle smile as she sees Suwon following his daughter. Well, Suwon brother doesn't understand a few questions, and wants me to explain them to him. In front of her mother, Guiran dares not call Suwon a big idiot. Well, then you go to your room, I'll go and cook. Anan, why don't you stay for dinner tonight? It's been a while since I made your favorite sweet and sour pork. Facing the enthusiasm of her mother-in-law. Ugh. Anan could only express her gratitude. Thank you, auntie. Upon hearing Anan's thanks, Jiang Xiaoyan scolded back. Hey, you little brat, what's there to be thankful for? With that, Anan followed Guiran into her room. As soon as she entered Guiran's room, Suwon could smell a faint fragrance. Damn! She really is a little princess. Looking at the room, which was decorated in cute pink from the tables and chairs to the bed covers, Suwon didn't know what to say. But just as Suwon's eyes met the bed, he suddenly caught his breath. Because a pink piece of lingerie was quietly lying on the bed. It seemed that she had noticed Suwon's strange expression, and Guiran hurriedly followed Suwon's gaze. Seeing the personal items on the bed, Guiran's face instantly turned red. She hurriedly walked over and put away the one with the Hello Kitty pattern. I didn't see anything, I didn't see that. Seeing Guiran's face turn red with shame, Suwon wanted to comfort her. But instead of explaining, this explanation made Guiran understand even more that he had seen it. Didn't you have a question you didn't understand? If you don't take it out, I won't tell you anymore. In order to avoid the awkward atmosphere, Guiran, whose face was covered in red, quickly changed the subject. Oh, okay. Suwon also knew that Guiran was a girl, and she must be very shy for her underwear to be seen by a guy like him. Therefore, he didn't dwell on it too much, so as not to embarrass Guiran. The two sat at the desk, and Guiran took out the two physics questions that Suwon didn't understand and explained them to him. Very quickly, with 10 times Suwon's comprehension ability, after Guiran had only pointed out a few key points. He instantly understood the thinking behind the two questions. Okay, I know how to do it. Suwon said to Guiran before the latter had finished explaining the questions. What? I haven't finished explaining the thinking behind the solutions yet. Guiran was a little puzzled when he heard Suwon. I really know how to do it. Suwon said to Guiran. Then show me how to solve the question. Guiran handed the pen he was holding to Suwon. Hey, you little brat. I said I can solve it, why don't you believe me? In that case, if I solve these two problems, how about you accompany me to the library to study together tomorrow on Saturday? Suwon said to Guiran. Without much thought, Guiran directly agreed. Okay. Guiran usually studies on weekends anyway, so since it's just a change of place to study. She naturally agreed. What if you don't solve it? Guiran asked Suwon in return. If I don't solve them, I'll buy you milk tea tomorrow. Deal. After reaching an agreement, Suan picked up a pen and started working on the problems. Needless to say, it didn't take her more than 10 minutes to solve both problems. Guiran was stunned by Suan's clear and logical solutions. Is this the guy who ranked last in the whole grade in the last monthly exam? Chapter 14, Consume Points, Level Up. How is it? No mistakes, right? Suan asked confidently, looking at Guiran, who was still in a state of shock. No, there aren't any mistakes. Guiran carefully checked Suan's solution. Apart from the fact that Suan's handwriting was a little ugly, the solution steps were almost exactly the same as the standard answer. Then it's settled, let's meet at the library tomorrow. Suan said with a smile, looking at Guiran. Okay. Guiran nodded, having seen that Suan had really solved both problems. I've noticed that you've changed a lot in the past few days. Although Suan had solved the problems, Guiran still seemed to have sensed something. Hearing Guiran's words, Suan was shocked, but quickly hid it. Have I? Of course I have. I'm afraid that less than a quarter of the people in the entire grade can solve these two problems. I just listened to you explain the solution first, and I didn't do it entirely on my own. Although Guiran was still someone who could say almost anything to Suan, Suan felt that the rebirth of his body was really too outrageous. Therefore, he decided not to tell Guiran what had happened to him for the time being. After hearing Suan's explanation, Guiran nodded. That's right. Not long after Suan solved the problem, Jiang Shaoyan's voice could be heard outside the door. Anan, Ran, come out to eat. Coming. Upon hearing her mother's greeting, Guiran hurriedly responded. As soon as she came out of Guiran's room, Suan could smell the tempting fragrance. Anan is here. Suan and Guiran went to the dining room and saw Gu Hong, who had just come home from work. Seeing Suan, Gu Hong greeted her. Yes, hello, Uncle Gu. Suan also responded politely to Gu Hong, who had taken such good care of her family. Hurry up and sit down and eat, or the food will get cold. Jiang Shaoyan spoke to Suan as she served the last dish of seaweed and egg soup on the table. At the table, Jiang Shaoyan kept putting food in Suan's bowl. Anan, you should eat more, you're growing up now. With that, Jiang Shaoyan put a chicken leg in Suan's bowl. Thank you, Auntie, thank you, I can't eat that much. Suan was a little uncomfortable looking at the enthusiastic Jiang Shaoyan. After all, in his previous life, he had a terminal illness, and even his relatives abandoned him. Now that he saw Jiang Shaoyan being so enthusiastic, he naturally didn't know how to respond. It's fine, just treat this place as your home, don't be formal. Gu Hong also said to Suan. After Suan arrived, his parents treated Suan better than themselves. Guiran even wondered if he had been adopted. After dinner, the sky gradually darkened. After thanking Gu Hong and Jiang Shaoyan again and again, Suan was ready to go home. Seeing Suan preparing to go home, Jiang Shaoyan asked Guiran to see Suan off. Looking through the window, Jiang Shaoyan saw Guiran see Suan off to the entrance of the residential area. Jiang Shaoyan let out a slow sigh. Hey, after Lao Su left, it's really pitiful for that child and sister-in-law. Hearing his wife's lament, Gu Hong let out a deep sigh. Yes, it's true that good people don't live long. But now there are less than 100 days until the college entrance exam, and with Suan's grades, I'm afraid. Gu Hong didn't say it explicitly, but Jiang Shaoyan still heard the meaning in his words. So what if you don't get into college? I'm telling you, you can't be ungrateful. If it weren't for Lao Su digging you out of the ground back then, where would you be now? Although she knew what her husband meant, Jiang Shaoyan immediately warned him. Hey, I didn't say anything. I just feel that if Anen's child can't get into the same university as our daughter, it's not certain that our daughter will like someone else. Suan is the son of his comrade in arms, and Gu Hong has even less to say about Suan. Then I don't care, as long as our daughter hasn't said she doesn't like Anen, you can't do anything about it. Jiang Shaoyan said sternly to Gu Hong. Okay, I don't care. I can see that you really like that Anen kid. Gu Hong responded with a rather helpless smile. That's right. When you were little and you were away in the army, Anen was the only one who stood up for your daughter when others bullied her. Of course I like Anen. Jiang Shaoyan said proudly. Fine. Whatever you say, my dear wife. That's more like it. When she got home, Suan saw that her mother was already tidying up the dishes. You're back? Hearing the noise at the door, Wan Lan knew it was Suan. Yes. Since Suan often ate at Gui Ran's house before, Wan Lan could tell when Suan wasn't home. Mom, I'm going to go back to my room and read. Eager to go back to her room and study the system of divine dog food, Suan made an excuse and went straight back to her room. Back in her room, Suan summoned her attribute panel. Name, Suan. Age, 18 years old. Bound to, Gui Ran. Unlocked special ability, tenfold comprehension ability. Sugar value, 115/100. Sugar level, LV1. Reward redemption store. 1,000 yuan in cash, 10 sugar value. 1 lucky draw, 100 sugar value. Basic strength enhancement, 100 sugar value. Basic speed enhancement, redeemed, 100 sugar value. System evaluation, waste. After taking a look at the 115 sugar points she had earned, Suan knew she was ready to level up. But thinking that 100 sugar points could be exchanged for a full 10,000 yuan in cash, Suan couldn't help but hesitate. You have to understand that 10,000 yuan is no small sum for Suan. But Suan was also very curious to see what kind of changes she could expect after her sugar level was upgraded. After much thought, Suan finally decided to upgrade her sugar level first. I can always exchange the money later, and there's no time to waste. Suan said to the system. Raise my sugar spreading level. Upon hearing Suan's command, the voice of the god-level sugar spreading system quickly sounded in his head. Ding, do you confirm spending 100 sugar points to raise the sugar spreading level of the host? Facing the system's query, Suan nodded. Yes. Ding. 100 sugar points have been deducted, and the host's sugar spreading level has been successfully upgraded from LV1 to LV2. With the words of the god-level sugar spreading system, Suan consumed 100 sugar points and reached LV2. Ding. It has been detected that the host has now passed the internship stage. Do you accept the official mission? Just as Suan was about to check what new rewards were available in the reward redemption store, the god-level dog food system actually issued him his first task. P.S. This book will continue the style of the previous book, although it has a system, the writing style is still a warm and everyday style. This time, I want to write a sweet campus romance novel. I hope you all like it. The data for the new book period is very important, so I hope you don't keep the book. Thanks to, and other friends for their gifts. Remember to bookmark, urge for an update, and give it 5 stars. Chapter 15, is the first task this exciting? Facing the inquiry of the god-level dog food system, Suan did not hesitate to accept. Because if he refused, the arrogant dog food system would probably try to commit suicide again. Accepted. Ding. Successfully hold hands with Gui Ran within 7 days, task reward, 100 sugar points plus 1 lucky draw chance. Hearing the task issued by the system was to let her hold hands with Gui Ran once within 7 days. Suan's face was covered in black lines. Was it necessary to be so exciting so soon? Suan asked the god-level dog food system. Men can't say they're fast, they have to say swift. I'm talking about the progress with Gui Ran, what the hell are you talking about? Suan rolled her eyes in anger. It's a friend of mine who got it wrong, not me. The melodious female voice of the god-level dog food system came from her mind. Listening to the system's interesting answer, Suan curiously asked. Do you have your own consciousness? Suan felt that whether it was the god-level dog food system saying it would self-destruct before, or the conversation with herself now, he sensed that the god-level dog food system seemed to have a sense of self. Ding. The system's self-awareness is related to the level of the host. The higher the level of the host, the more self-awareness the system can evolve. So what state are you in now? Using your current understanding, you can understand me as artificial intelligence. Not artificial retard? Ding. Detected that the host has once again humiliated this fairy system and is preparing to initiate the self-destruct program. Hearing that the system was once again preparing to play its game with him, Suan, who had already figured out her temper, was not at all panicked. So, after clearing her throat, Suan sang. You love me, I love you, Michelle Bingcheng is sweet. Just as Suan had predicted, as soon as he did this, the instantly divine dog food system surrendered. Stop, stop, stop. I was wrong. I'll never do it again. Seeing the system surrender, Suan's face showed a look of smug satisfaction. You're nowhere near ready to fight me. I'm. Right, open my attribute panel. After arguing with the god-level dog food system, Suwon suddenly realized that he hadn't done anything important yet. He had spent 100 points to level up, but hadn't checked his attribute panel or the reward shop yet. Name, Suwon. Age, 18 years old. Bound to, Gui Ran. Unlocked special ability, tenfold comprehension ability, S-Class. Sugar spreading value, 15/500. Sugar spreading level, LV2. Reward redemption store. 1 lucky draw, 100 sugar points. 1,000 yuan in cash, 10 sugar points. 10,000 yuan in cash, 90 sugar points. Basic strength enhancement, 100 sugar points. Basic speed enhancement redeemed, 100 sugar points. Basic physical fitness enhancement, 200 sugar points. Basic musical talent enhancement, 200 sugar points. System evaluation, waste. Looking at the attribute panel in front of him, Suwon quickly found the difference from before at LV1. LV1 has been upgraded to LV2. There are also 3 redeemable rewards in the bonus shop: 10,000 cash rewards, beginner physical enhancement, and beginner musical talent enhancement. Suwon didn't have any questions about the beginner physical enhancement and beginner musical talent enhancement. He was just a little puzzled to see that it only took 90 sugar points to redeem 10,000 cash. System, why does it only take 90 points to redeem a 10,000 yuan cash reward? Ding! This is one of the benefits of leveling up: you can get a discount when redeeming cash rewards. It seems that it had long been guessed that Suwon would ask himself. Therefore, as soon as Suwon's question was just asked, he immediately heard the answer from the god-level dog food system. So that's how it is. Suwon nodded slightly. By the way, what is the penalty if the mission fails? Suwon thought that since there was a reward for the mission, there might also be a penalty for failure. Ding! If the mission fails, double the mission reward will be deducted as a penalty for failure. What if I don't have that many points in my system deposit? Suwon thought that if he couldn't deduct it without enough points, then he could just spend all his points before failing a mission. If the host does not have enough points to deduct, then the points will become negative, and they cannot continue to gain positive points until the host repays enough rewards. Damn! What a capitalist! Even I cry when I hear that. After hearing the system's reply, Suwon knew that her little scheme had fallen through. After exchanging 10 of the 15 points left in her account for 1,000 yuan in cash, Suwon did not say anything else to the god-level dog food system. After a simple shower, Suwon began to read seriously. People are complicated and simple. When they really have a goal, they seem to be full of motivation no matter what they do. And Suwon's current goal is to get into the same university as Gui Ran. She doesn't want the two of them to continue to miss each other like they did in their past lives. Suwon has already learned almost everything there is to know about the Chinese language. After all, Chinese is her native language. The reason why some students don't get high scores in Chinese is simply because they don't know how to answer questions or they don't understand the meaning of the text. Now Suwon has 10 times the comprehension ability, not to mention compared to his classmates. Even compared to the Chinese teacher who taught him, his understanding will only be stronger, not weaker. So even if Suwon's Chinese level can't get a perfect score, there is no problem getting the same level as Gui Ran. Therefore, Suwon's main goal now is placed on mathematics. Those who have taken the college entrance exams know that mathematics is a magical subject. Because the really good ones are really good, and the really bad ones are really bad. Just like Suwon, her math grades may be only a fraction of Gui Ran's. Suwon picked up his math book and immersed himself in studying. Fortunately, he had 10 times the comprehension ability, and he was indeed studying hard. So his progress in math was rapid. Although it was impossible to catch up with the math was in his class in just a few days. Getting a score of around 100 was no longer a big problem. After studying until late at night, Suwon thought about having to accompany Gui Ran to the library to study the next day, so he went to bed. The next day. Inside the Jinling City Library. A girl with a ponytail, rosy lips, and a faint smile on her face attracted a lot of attention as soon as she walked into the library. There was no doubt that this girl, who had attracted so much attention, was the school beauty, Gui Ran. As soon as Gui Ran had found a seat, some boys who thought they were good-looking and had charisma walked over. "Excuse me, can I sit here?" The boy pointed to the empty seat next to Gui Ran. Chapter 16. Hey, why is your face red? Gui Ran looked up when she heard someone ask. When she lifted her stunning face, the boy felt his heart pounding. She was so beautiful. That was the only impression in the boy's mind at the moment. But just as the boy thought that Gui Ran would be charmed by his handsome appearance, Gui Ran said apologetically, "Sorry, this seat is taken." "Excuse me, this seat is taken." This was the voice of Suwon. It turned out that Suwon was late because he had gone to buy milk tea for Gui Ran. Unexpectedly, as soon as he arrived, he ran into someone trying to take the seat that Gui Ran had reserved for him. Suwon walked directly over. Upon hearing the voice, the boy who wanted to sit next to Gui Ran turned around. After looking at Suwon up and down, a look of disdain appeared in the boy's eyes. "Why should I let you? This library is not owned by your family. My name is Wang Yan, and my cousin oversees the whole of number 1 middle school. Do me a favor today and give me this seat. In the future, if there's anything, I'll look after you." Because he had just seen Gui Ran's homework book with Jinling number 1 middle school written on it. So Wang Yan knew that both Suwon and Gui Ran were students at Jinling number 1 middle school. Upon hearing Wang Yan's words, Suwon nodded. "Fine, I'll give you this seat." Hearing this, Wang Yan was overjoyed. But just as Wang Yan thought he would be able to sit next to Gui Ran, the school flower of number 1 middle school, Suwon actually turned to Gui Ran and said, "Let's switch seats." Hearing Suwon's words, Gui Ran nodded without any hesitation. "Kid, are you messing with me?" Wang Yan's face showed an expression of displeasure. "Idiot." Glancing at Wang Yan lightly, Suwon said indifferently, "In other words, this is the library, but if it were anywhere else." Facing someone like Wang Yan, he is afraid that he has already tasted Suwon's iron fist. Looking at Suwon, who had changed seats, Wang Yan's eyes revealed a trace of resentment. "Kid, you just wait." After dropping a threatening remark, Wang Yan left the library angrily. In fact, he didn't come to the library to study at all, he just wanted to look for girls who like to study and are pretty in the library. As for studying, Wang Yan can only say hee hee. Seeing the annoying guy finally leave, Suwon handed the milk tea in her hand to Gui Ran. Seeing that Suwon actually bought her favorite cheese and grape-flavored milk tea, Gui Ran's eyes revealed a hint of surprise. "Why did you suddenly invite me to drink milk tea? You won the bet yesterday." Gui Ran asked, looking at Suwon. "Consider it payment for the tutoring you gave me yesterday." "Why? Don't you want to drink it?" "That's fine then." Suwon whispered to Gui Ran. "Who said that?" Seeing that Suwon was about to take the milk tea back, Gui Ran quickly took it away from her. Fortunately, the two were in the corner, so even if they spoke in a normal voice, it would not affect the others who were reading and studying. Suwon gave a faint smile as she watched Gui Ran take the milk tea away. Ding! Felt the envy of Liang Yufeng, the single dog, and gained 15 sugar spreading points. Ding! Felt the envy of Chi Su, the single dog, and gained 13 sugar spreading points. Ding! Felt the envy of the single dog Lu Jian and gained 10 sugar spreading points. Ding! Felt the envy of the single dog Li Wei and gained 1 sugar spreading point. Just as Suwon and Gui Ran were chatting and laughing, Suwon gained a large wave of points. This really was a good deal. She had spent just a few tens of yuan on milk tea and earned several thousand points worth of points. Suwon thought to herself when she heard the notification that she had earned points. After the little incident earlier, Suwon and Gui Ran settled down to read in the library. Later, many people saw Gui Ran sitting opposite Suwon. After seeing Gui Ran's incredible looks, many people envied Suwon. Of course, because of their envy, Suwon earned nearly 100 points of sugar value in just one morning. Damn! Just sitting here studying for an entire morning earned points that can be exchanged for 10,000 yuan? Studying is really great. I love studying. After taking a look at the points in her current points column, she saw that she had enough points to exchange for 10,000 yuan in cash. Suwon couldn't help but exclaim. After reading for 3 or 4 hours in the morning, both Gui Ran and Suwon were a little hungry. Hearing a gurgling sound coming from Suwon's stomach, Gui Ran smiled and said to him, "Let's go, I'll buy you dinner." Invite me to dinner? Yes. Gui Ran knew that since Suwon's father had passed away, his family had not been doing well. Therefore, Gui Ran, who had originally planned to invite Suwon to lunch, deliberately made an excuse. Gui Ran was doing her best to protect Suwon's pride as a man. "If you buy me milk tea, I'll invite you to dinner." If it had been Suwon in a previous life, he definitely would not have appreciated Gui Ran's good intentions. But now Suwon has long since seen through the ways of the world, and she can see at a glance that Gu Ran is only saying this to protect his pride. But since Gu Ran has considered so much for himself, Suwon also accepts Gu Ran's goodwill. After leaving the library, Suwon casually found a spicy hot pot restaurant on the street. In less than 10 minutes, 2 bowls of fragrant spicy hot pot were placed in front of the two of them. Seeing Suwon start eating, Gu Ran slowly began to eat as well. Seeing that Suwon's forehead was sweating from eating, Gu Ran put down her chopsticks. "Don't move." Upon hearing Gu Ran's words, Suwon immediately stopped like a wooden person. Just as Suwon wondered what Gu Ran was going to do, she saw Gu Ran take a pack of napkins out of her backpack. "Look at you, your forehead is sweating from eating," Gu Ran said to Suwon while personally wiping the sweat off Suwon's forehead. Seeing Gu Ran actually make such intimate gestures towards her, Suwon's heart rate soared. You have to understand that wiping the other person's sweat off is not an action that ordinary boyfriends and girlfriends would do. "I can do it myself," Suwon stuttered, a little overwhelmed by Gu Ran's intimate actions. "Don't move." Unexpectedly, Suwon's response was a rather domineering reply from Gu Ran. A few seconds later, Gu Ran said to Suwon with a smile, "Okay, it's all wiped off." "Ha? You idiot, why are you blushing?" P.S. Thanks to the gifts from the little friends Lan Yun and Lin Wannan who love homemade fermented tofu and meat. Don't skip chapters and don't raise the book while it's new. If you like it, click to speed up the updates and give it 5 stars. Chapter 17, Is there a simpler task than this? Gu Ran blinked her charming big eyes at him, looking puzzled. Suwon quickly found an excuse. "I accidentally ate some chili." To prevent Gu Ran from disbelieving him, Suwon even pretended to cough a few times. Seeing this, Gu Ran took out the pink water bottle in her backpack and handed it to Suwon. "Drink some water." "Drink some water?" Suwon raised an eyebrow. "Oops. What are you talking about?" "I'm asking you to drink my water." Upon hearing Suwon's words, Gu Ran stamped her feet in anger. Although after hearing Gu Ran's explanation, Suwon felt even more strange. But thinking about the consequences of molesting Gu Ran, Suwon still kept his mouth shut. "Thank you." Suwon took the cup from Gu Ran's hands and looked at Gu Ran's personal cup. Suwon gulped down a mouthful. For Suwon, although he already considered Gu Ran the person he would protect for the rest of his life, the two were not yet actual boyfriend and girlfriend. So Suwon still felt a little embarrassed, even though in the eyes of all the boys, he was the one who had gotten the better deal. "Hey, isn't that Iran?" Just as Suwon had gulped down a big mouthful, a voice entered the two of their ears. Upon looking closely, it was none other than Yuxue, the class flower of the second class next door. Behind Yuxue was Yi Song, the academic star of Jinling No. 1 Middle School, who had recently become very close to her. Although Yuxue was in the same class as Suwon and Gu Ran, the three of them lived close to each other and had grown up together. However, Yuxue was always overshadowed by Gu Ran, whether in terms of studies, appearance or figure. So she often privately fabricated bad things about Gu Ran. Therefore, neither Suwon nor Gu Ran actually had a good impression of her. However, due to the bond of growing up together as children, they did not want to openly fall out. "Hey, I remember this seems to be Still's water glass, how did it end up in Suwon's hands?" Yuxue looked at Suwon holding Gu Ran's pink water glass and deliberately mentioned it. "I'm thirsty, what's wrong with having a drink?" Suwon knew that Gu Ran's personality would definitely not directly retort to Yuxue, but Suwon at this moment was no longer the Suwon from the previous life. She heard Suwon actually answer directly, without any evasion. This made Yuxue, who had originally been preparing to spread the matter with ill intent, unable to respond. Classmate Suwon is really lucky. Not only is she able to sit at the same table with classmate Rui at school, but she is also able to spend every day with classmate Rui during the holidays. Just as Yuxue was at a loss for words, Yi Song, who was standing next to her wearing gold-rimmed glasses, slowly spoke. "Ding. Feeling Yi Song's envy, you get 10 points for sugar spreading." As soon as Yi Song's words fell, Suwon's mind rang with the prompt from the god-level dog food system. "Fuck, you've got a boyfriend, and you're still fucking envious of me, you really are a beast with a human face." Suwon cursed in her heart at Yi Song. "I'm just helping Suwon review her lessons." After hearing Yi Song's words, Gu Ran hurriedly explained, fearing that the two of them would spread rumors outside and get Suwon into trouble. Although Gu Ran is a girl, she also knows that because she sticks with Suwon every day, many of her classmates at school are jealous of Suwon. As a result, Gu Ran's explanation was fine, but as soon as she explained, both Yi Sang and Yushue laughed at the same time. Puff. No, I don't look down on classmate Suan. I just think that with her academic performance, there's really no need to waste your time. Yi Sang also has very good academic performance. In every monthly exam, he is almost on par with Gui Ran, and is consistently ranked in the top 10 in the school. It is precisely for this reason that he feels that he and Gui Ran are a natural pair of talent and beauty. Even if he is now with Yushue, it is only the second choice after being repeatedly rejected by Gui Ran. Seeing Yi Sang trample on Suan's face and put it on the ground directly, Gui Ran's face instantly turned cold. Classmate Yi Sang, it seems we are not that familiar with each other, so you might as well just call me Gui Ran. Just because Suan can call her Iran, doesn't mean everyone can. Hearing Gui Ran's words, Yi Sang, who had just been mocking Suan, couldn't help but become irritated. Gui Ran, where am I inferior to this waste of money and achievement? Yi Sang growled in his heart. Humph. My Song is right. Brother Suan, with the worst grades in the school, you really don't stand a chance. Facing Suan, who had grown up with her since childhood and had even taken care of her when they were young, Yushue immediately took Yi Sang's side without even thinking. As Yushue directly humiliated Suan in order to defend Yi Sang, Gui Ran just wanted to refute her, but was stopped by Suan. You two are right, I am a waste. Suan looked at Yi Sang and Yushue and said. Seeing that Suan had said so, Yushue and Yi Sang left without saying anything else. Idiot. Why do you say that about yourself? Seeing the two annoying guys leave, Gui Ran pouted in anger. They both acted like that, why didn't we just obey them? If you argue with a fool, then you become a fool too. Having experienced life and death, Suan's state of mind was no longer comparable to that of an 18 or 19-year-old child. You're the idiot, you big idiot. Hearing Suan's explanation, Gui Ran reluctantly accepted Suan's earlier admission that he was an idiot and a waste. Okay, I will definitely blow their minds in the next monthly exam. Suan knew that his previous results were indeed not up to scratch, and that the only way to slap those people in the face was to rely on the monthly exam in half a month. Well, I believe in you, Suan. Seeing Suan's confident look, Gui Ran nodded happily. After finishing eating, the two walked to the counter to pay the bill. Ouch, young man, your girlfriend is really pretty. Unlike my brat, all he does every day is play King of Glory and read Mangi's novels, and he doesn't even know to find me a pretty daughter-in-law. The proprietress couldn't help but praise Gui Ran, who had bright eyes, white teeth, fair skin, and a beautiful appearance. Auntie, she. Seeing that the boss lady had misunderstood that Gui Ran was her girlfriend, Suan hurriedly prepared to explain, for she was afraid that Gui Ran would be shy. However, she was interrupted directly by Gui Ran. Thank you, Auntie. Facing the boss lady's praise, Gui Ran simply smiled and said thank you. Let's go, you idiot. Seeing that Suan was still in a daze, Gui Ran directly pulled him away. Ding. The host has successfully completed the task issued by the system. Ding. Mission reward has been distributed, please check. Suan never imagined that he would be thinking about how to hold Gui Ran's hand. Instead, Gui Ran took the initiative to hold his hand. Could there be a more straightforward mission? Suan couldn't help but feel excited. Chapter 18 3 yuan per caddy, 10 yuan for 3 caddies. Su Hang. High-end villa area. Brother, I'll leave all the housework to you today. Su Shiran, who has a very sweet appearance, said to her brother Su Mugwa in front of her. In the previous book, a friend said that 11 was a waste of a name, so the names of the two have been changed in this book. Seeing that Ran was about to hand over all the housework to him, Mugwa immediately refused. No way. Dad and Mom said we have to share the housework. Share? Well, it's not impossible to share, but when Yun and She 11 come over to play later, I'm afraid I'll forget something if I don't do it all. Su Ran has her brother completely under control. Seeing his sister pull out the threat of marrying 5 wives that she made when she was little, Su Mugwa is furious and stomps his feet. I'll tell Dad you bully me every day. Telling Dad won't help. I know where he hides his secret stash of money. If Mom finds out, Dad's in for a cold night. Ran not only has her clueless brother under her thumb, she also has her father Suemo under her thumb. Although she is now a grown woman, she no longer uses her little voice to wake Suemo up like she used to when she was little. But Ran's heartless little girl persona hasn't changed at all. When she learned that her father, her pillar of strength, also had a weakness that her younger sister held in her hands, her brother Sumugwa had no choice but to resign himself to it. Oh yes. Duo will be leaving the tutorial class in a little while, so remember to pick her up. As she watched her brother pick up the mop and prepare to mop the floor, Sushiran reminded him with a smile. Sumugwa, I can't stand it. Although the two often bicker when they are together, their relationship is actually exceptionally good. It's just that Ranran is insatiable when it comes to bullying her brother. In the afternoon, after spending the whole day reading in the library, Suan sent Guiran home and then went to the market where her mother Wanglan sold vegetables. It was just after work, and many people were selling vegetables at her mother's stall. Seeing that her mother was a little busy, Suan put down her school bag and went to help. Hey, why are you here? Wanglan smiled as she looked at Suan, who was helping her collect the money. She was obviously very happy to see her son. I saw that you were busy, so I thought I'd come and help you. Suan answered Wanglan's question while continuing with her work. With Suan's help, Wanglan, who had been flustered a moment ago, immediately felt a lot less pressure. She was able to chat with Suan for a while during her spare time. Didn't you go to the library with Renren to read today? How did you still have time to come to me? After reading all day, don't you need to take a break? Then go home and rest quickly. There aren't many people here now, so I can do it myself. Wan Lan immediately spoke to Suan after hearing that he had been reading all day. It's fine. I'll help you, and I'll consider it relaxing. In her previous life, Suan had never appreciated the hardships of his mother Wang Lan until he had contracted leukemia. Now, after being reborn and traveling through time, he didn't want to see his mother suffer as she had in his previous life. Upon hearing this, Wang Lan's face revealed a smile of relief. Although she didn't know when Suan's change had begun. She could feel that her son, who was almost a head taller than her, had really grown up. Hey, isn't that Suan? Why is he selling vegetables here? While Suan was chatting with his mother Wang Lan, an unexpected guest suddenly arrived. The boy in front of them was also a student at Jinling No. 1 Middle School, Zhao Meng, who was called Dasha by everyone. Although he was a bit silly, he was like a toad trying to eat a swan. However, after being rejected several times, he, like most people, resented Suan. Now he saw Suan helping his mother Wang Lan sell vegetables in the market, so he was ready to humiliate him. What's wrong with me helping my mother sell vegetables here? Most people might feel embarrassed because their mother is just a vegetable hawker. But Suan in this life has completely lost that ridiculous vanity. Zhao Meng was about to make fun of Suan, but when he heard her reply, he was at a loss for words. Cough. How much are your potatoes? Zhao Meng asked, looking at the potatoes on Suan's stall. 3 yuan per caddy. Suan replied indifferently. 3 yuan per caddy? That's expensive. Your potatoes must be made of gold. Zhao Meng picked up a potato and looked at it. Forget it, I'll sell them to you cheaper because you're an alumnus. I sell others 3 yuan per caddy, and I'll sell you 10 yuan for 3 caddies. 3 yuan per caddy? 10 yuan for 3 caddies? Okay. Not bad. Upon hearing Suan's words, Dasha Zhao Meng immediately nodded, then pulled out a 10 yuan bill from his pocket. Here's the money, and get me 3 caddies. Wang Lan saw that Zhao Meng had really pulled out 10 yuan to buy potatoes, and hurriedly spoke up. No, I can't sell it to you. When Wang Lan said she couldn't sell it, Zhao Meng immediately put the 3 caddies of potatoes Suan had handed him in his bosom. What do you mean you can't sell it? Suan said she'd sell it to me, so you can't go back on your word just because you think it's a bargain. Zhao Meng looked at Wang Lan with a face full of alarm. Mom! The person wants it so badly, so just sell it to him, we'll just make less money. Suan stopped her kind-hearted mother, who wanted to dissuade Zhao Meng. Yes, you're a heartless person. After throwing a black-hearted comment at Wang Lan, Zhao Meng went home with 10 yuan and 3 pounds of potatoes he had bought. This child. Seeing that she had clearly done what was best for Zhao Meng, but he was still ungrateful, Wang Lan was a little puzzled. Seeing her mother Wang Lan's puzzled expression, Suan smiled and explained to her. Some people are just like that, so don't be surprised. Thinking that Zhao Meng wanted to humiliate himself but ended up being tricked by her. Suan couldn't help but laugh. You child, you really are full of bad ideas. You can't do that to customers in the future, we have to be honest in business. Wang Lan scolded Suan. It's not my fault, he was the one who insisted on buying it, and as you can see, you had no choice but to sell it. Suan argued. As for Zhao Meng, he spent 10 yuan to buy 3 caddies of potatoes and went home to get a sweet blow from his parents, which was none of Suan's business. Seeing that there were not many people left in the market, Suan's mother Wang Lan packed up her stall and took Suan home with her. P.S. Here is the second chapter. Explanation: although the main characters of this novel are not Gui Gui and Ran Ran, they will appear in the university together with the male and female protagonists. If you like it, remember to encourage more updates, give it a good rating, and save it. Welcome back, old readers. Chapter 19, Redeem 20,000 yuan in cash. After returning home, Suan went straight to her room. Seeing Suan go straight to her room as soon as she arrived, her mother Wang Lan's eyes revealed a trace of relief. Hey, Anan has finally grown up and knows to prioritize her studies. In her room, Suan was lying on her bed, looking over her gains for the day. Viewing the attribute panel. Name, Suan. Age, 18 years old. Bound to, Gui Ran. Unlocked special ability, tenfold comprehension, S-class. Sugar value, 234/500. Sugar level, LV2. Reward redemption store. 1 lucky draw, 100 sugar value. 1,000 yuan in cash, 10 sugar value. 10,000 yuan in cash, 90 sugar value. Basic strength enhancement, 100 sugar value. Basic speed boost redeemed, 100 sugar points. Basic physical strength boost, 200 sugar points. Basic musical talent boost, 200 sugar points. System evaluation. Waste. Since Suan obtained this godly dog food system, he has often wanted to see how many points he has earned in a day. This has even become something he must do before going to bed every night. Seeing that he was still nearly half a level away from level 3, Suan temporarily dismissed the idea of continuing to improve his level. Because he currently had something important to do. That was to solve his mother's business problems. Suan also got a general idea from his mother Wang Lan. Someone like Wang Lan, who gets up early every day and works hard as a street vendor, actually doesn't make much money in a month. After all, she is alone, not only does she have to buy food, but also collect money from selling it, and she is often very busy. The more profitable fish and meat, Wang Lan gave up because she was too busy to handle. In other words, regular customers know that Wang Lan's goods are genuine and never short in weight or quantity, so they are willing to come and take care of her business. If it weren't for this, Wang Lan wouldn't earn more than 3,000 yuan a month. Since Suan has been reborn, he wants to find a new job for his mother. Even if his mother is willing to continue selling vegetables, Suan feels that it is better to open a small shop for his mother than to squeeze in the vegetable market. So Suan planned to save up some money as soon as possible to open a shop for his mother. Not only would the income increase a lot, but his mother wouldn't have to work so hard. Suan made a preliminary observation and found that there was an empty storefront 50 meters away from his home community. And the key thing was that there weren't many stores selling vegetables in his community. So Suan thought that as long as his mother could maintain the tradition of selling authentic, high-quality, and affordable goods, the business would be worry-free. Therefore, without any hesitation, Suan directly spoke to the god-level dog food system. Exchange 20,000 yuan for me. Ding, do you confirm spending 180 sugar points to exchange 20,000 yuan for cash? Hearing the system's query, Suan nodded directly without hesitation. Yes. Ding. 180 dog killing points have been deducted, and the reward has been successfully issued. The system's voice had not even finished when Suan's phone lit up. Without a doubt, it was a prompt that the bank's cash had arrived. Looking at the 22,109 yuan displayed on her account balance, Suan was a little excited. Because this was the first time he had earned so much money on his own. Well, he had earned so much money on someone else's efforts. Anyway, as long as the money was in his pocket, it was fine. With more than 20,000 yuan, Suan thought that the initial startup capital should be enough. Just as Suan was thinking about going to the vacant storefront tomorrow to check it out, her phone rang. It was Gui Ran calling, so Suan didn't hesitate to press the answer button. Huh? It connected so quickly? Were you playing with your phone, you idiot? Suan couldn't help but laugh when she heard Gui Ran's voice on the other end of the line. No, I was just checking my messages when your call came in. Really? Gui Ran asked doubtfully. Of course it's true, even if I wanted to play, there's no need for me to lie to you. Suan quickly replied. Right, that's right. Guiran, who was in her own room, nodded. Do you have time tomorrow? After a few seconds of silence, Guiran gathered her courage and asked Suan. Tomorrow? Tomorrow I really do have something to do. Because Suan was going to take a look at the vacant storefront tomorrow, and if it was suitable, she might rent it directly. So Suan really won't have any free time tomorrow. Guiran had hoped that Suan would accompany her to the supermarket tomorrow, but she never expected that she would have such difficulty mustering the courage to invite Suan. As a result, her plan fell through before she could even say anything. Oh, that's fine then. Guiran said, a little disappointed. If it had been an ordinary matter, Suan might have really turned down the invitation to accompany Guiran. But when it involved Suan's mother Wang Lan, who Suan felt she had wronged the most in her past life, there was nothing he could do. And school starts again tomorrow, so any delay means another week. Okay, then. Remember to go to bed early, you big idiot. Knowing that Suan had something to do tomorrow, Guiran didn't continue to pester him. After hanging up the phone, Guiran pulled a 1-meter-long pink bunny doll leaning against her bed over to her. You idiot! You rascal! I finally want you to go shopping with me, and you even dare to refuse in advance. I'm so angry. Humph. Guiran scolded the pink rabbit doll in front of her while pounding its belly with her little pink fists. This pink rabbit doll was a present from Suan to Guiran on her 15th birthday, for which Suan had worked for 5 days handing out flyers. Ever since receiving this doll from Suan, Guiran has placed it on her bed every day. She even often sleeps with the cute pink rabbit doll in her arms. In her eyes, this pink rabbit is a stand-in for the big bully Suan. Often, when she dares not speak to Suan, Guiran will speak to the rabbit doll instead. Stinking Gu, I'll write it down for you, and we'll settle accounts together later, huh? Saying this, Guiran put the rabbit doll back on the side of the bed and turned around to take out her diary, which she had been hiding in a drawer. Saturday, March 19, 2022, sunny. I'm so angry that stupid Suan didn't agree to go shopping with me tomorrow. I beat up the rabbit doll's, ass. Mark it down on the ledger, I'll settle the score with him later, heh. After writing this, Guiran locked the diary in the drawer again. Although Guiran knew that her parents both liked Suan. If they found out that she had a secret crush on Suan's brother, they might change their attitude towards Suan completely. After all, there was still some time before the college entrance exams, and no one wanted to distract their child at such a critical time. Guiran had no idea that her affection for Suan had long been noticed by Gu Hong and Jiang Xiaoyan. Chapter 20, Renting a Storefront, the Beginning of a Business. After successfully redeeming the 20,000 cash reward, Suan was just about to go study. But then he suddenly remembered that he had already completed the first task of the release of the God-level dog food system. He still had one lucky draw opportunity left. So he hurriedly asked the system. Am I still entitled to one lucky draw opportunity? Yes. Then why didn't you remind me? Suan was a little confused. You didn't tell me to remind you. Hearing the system's serious reply, Suan really didn't know how to respond. Forget it, I'm not going to dwell on this, I'm going to draw the lottery now. Last time Suan won a S-class ability tenfold comprehension through the lottery. So this time Suan was already imagining what kind of supernatural ability he would be able to obtain through the lottery. Ding! Lottery begins. As the system's prompt sounded, Suan's heart gradually became a little nervous. After all, he didn't know what reward he would get. Fortunately, this didn't last long, and soon Suan received his answer. Ding! Congratulations, host, on winning the SSS level reward of God-level musical talent. What God-level musical talent? What do I need musical talent for? Although he had won the SSS level reward, Suan was not at all happy. At the moment, Suan did not realize how incredibly lucky he had been. But since she had drawn it, Suan didn't have any other options. Just as Suan opened her phone to relax by listening to Jay Chou's songs, she suddenly realized something huge. There is no Jay Chou in this world. Holy shit, is this for real? Am I not reborn, but have traveled to a parallel universe? Looking at her phone, she couldn't find any information about Jay Chou on Baidu. Even Jay Chou's most popular songs, such as Blue and White Porcelain and Fragrance of Osmanthus, had no records. Suan completely understood. He had not been reborn, but had instead traveled to a parallel universe. He thought about the SSS level bonus divine musical talent he had just drawn. Suwon felt that if he entered the music scene now, it would be a massacre. However, becoming a celebrity was not Suwon's ideal, at least for the time being. Suwon had no intention of developing in the direction of becoming a singer. But using his divine musical talent to woo the school beauty queen, Suwon thought that was still possible. Calming his excited feelings, Suwon sat back down at his desk. Looking at the math book that used to make his head spin, Suwon calmed down and quietly delved into it. Early the next morning, Suwon's mother Wanglan went out to work. Suwon slept until around 8 o'clock in the morning and then got up. After washing up, Suwon went directly to the storefront he had previously scouted out, which was only 50 meters away from the residential area. Looking at the contact number left on the door, Suwon directly dialed it on his phone. As soon as the call connected, Suwon heard some strange sounds coming from the phone. "Boss Lee, what is this?" Suwon, although still a virgin, is quite knowledgeable about Japanese romantic comedies. As soon as he heard the sound coming from the phone, he knew that Boss Lee was applauding for love. "Who is this?" "My wife is eating spicy sticks." "What do you want?" Saying this, Boss Lee made a gesture to his wife to keep quiet. "I see that your shop is for rent, and I want to rent your shop." When she heard that Mr. Lee's wife was eating spicy sticks, Suwon almost laughed out loud. Who eats spicy sticks in the morning? When she heard that Suwon wanted to rent her store, Mr. Lee immediately became serious. "Okay, wait there for a moment, I'll be right there." "Honey, we're not done yet." "What's done is done, we need to get down to business. You can eat the spicy sticks when I get back." Listening to the conversation on the phone, Suwon shook her head and smiled. After waiting for about 20 minutes, a middle-aged man with a slight bald patch appeared in front of Suwon. Seeing that Suwon was still a young adult, Boss Lee was instantly disappointed. "You want to rent my place?" Although Boss Lee didn't believe that Suwon could afford to rent his store, since she had come all the way here, he still asked Suwon. "Yes, but whether or not I rent it depends on a look at the inside of the house and the price." Although Suwon really liked the store, he would not act like a fool and show his interest directly. Seeing Suwon's maturity and composure, which was very out of character for his age, Boss Lee was also slightly taken aback. "Okay, I'll show you." With that, Boss Lee opened the shuttered door. Once inside the store, apart from the musty smell caused by the lack of ventilation for a long time, Suwon was very satisfied with everything else. The space of more than 40 square meters is not small, much larger than the stall his mother had in the market. "I haven't used this house since I bought it, and the water and electricity are all in good condition. If I didn't lack money, I wouldn't even want to rent it." Mr. Lee took Suwon on a tour of the store and then said to him, "Lack of money? Lack of money to buy spicy snacks?" Suwon asked Mr. Lee with a smile. Hearing Suwon's words, Mr. Lee laughed. "You're a funny guy. How much is this room?" Suwon had looked around the room and was very satisfied with it. So he asked the owner directly for the price. "I usually charge 10,000 yuan a year for this room, but it's been vacant for half a year, so how about 9,000 yuan a year?" If it had been just any other person, the owner would have definitely asked for a lot more. But for some reason, when dealing with Suwon, Boss Lee always felt that this seemingly unassuming guy was actually extremely shrewd and difficult to deal with. So he didn't quote a random price, but instead offered a price that was more or less in the ballpark. 8,000 yuan a year, and I'll rent it for 2 years. And I'll pay the rent for 2 years in one lump sum today. After hearing Boss Lee's offer, Suwon immediately countered with his own price. When Boss Lee heard Suwon say 8,000 yuan a year, he was a little hesitant. But when he heard Suwon say that he would pay the 2-year rent in one lump sum today, Boss Lee agreed at once. For him, lowering the price a little in exchange for getting the 2-year rent in advance was also acceptable. Pay the 2-year rent today? Although Boss Lee was very tempted, he was still a little worried about whether Suwon could afford to pay 16,000 yuan. "In that case, Boss Lee, you go back now and prepare the rental contract, and in the afternoon the two of us will come over to sign the contract, and I will pay the money on the spot." Suwon proposed directly to Boss Lee. "Good. Since the young man has said so, I will wait for you here at 2 p.m. Seeing that Suwon was not joking with him, Boss Lee also agreed at once. Although the matter of the shop was resolved, there was still a problem for Suwon. That is how he will explain to his mother Wang Lan where he got the money. P.S. So far, I have written 40,000 words in 20 chapters. I would like to say that this book continues the style of the previous sweet novel, with the main theme still being everyday life. I would like to thank all of you for your support. During the new book period, I sincerely ask all of you not to save this book. Remember to add it to your bookshelf, encourage more chapters to be released, and leave a good review. Chapter 21. I have never seen such a brazen person. Time passed quickly and it was afternoon when Suwon and Boss Lee cheerfully signed a 2-year lease. By the way, little brother, can I ask what you plan to do by renting this place from me? Looking at the 16,000 yuan that had just been credited to his phone, landlord Lee who couldn't help but ask Suwon. I don't plan to do anything either. My mom happens to sell vegetables at the market, but there's a lot of competition and it's hard to make money. So my mother wants me to help her find an empty house nearby. She's going to open a small shop. Suwon naturally wouldn't tell Lee Hu that he was the one who paid the money, and of course Lee Hu wouldn't believe it even if she did. Where could a child who had just turned 18 and still looked like a student find 10,000 or 20,000 yuan all of a sudden? Oh, I see. Hearing that Suwon's mother was going to open a vegetable shop in her own house, Lee Hu didn't feel anything was wrong with it. Just as the two were chatting, Lee Hu's phone suddenly rang. This woman, she really wants to know everything. Hey, what's up? Calling all the time? The house, it's rented out, yes, 3,000 yuan a year, 6,000 yuan for 2 years, I've already paid it all to me, I'll transfer it to you when I get back. Suwon was slightly taken aback as she listened to Lee Hu's conversation with his wife. But she quickly recovered. After hanging up the phone, Lee Hu said to Suwon, little brother, you have to keep this a secret from me. If anyone asks about the price, don't let it slip. Lee Hu saw that Suwon was very calm and experienced, so he simply told him directly. Don't worry, men, who after getting married don't have to hide some private money? Suwon also smiled and replied to Lee Hu, not surprised. Hearing Suwon's reply, Lee Hu left relieved. Looking at the empty house, Suwon was very satisfied. Although he has not yet allowed his mother to live a life of luxury, he is also striving to create a better life for his mother Wanglan with his own efforts. After renting the house, Suwon returned to his own home to prepare to read. Unexpectedly, as soon as his butt had just sat down, he heard the voice of the god-level dog food system. Ding! Accompany the bound object GUI ran on a shopping trip once within 3 days, task reward, 200 sugar spreading points plus basic strength enhancement. Shit, already a new task? Suwon didn't realize that the last task had only been completed yesterday, and there was already a new one today. Where would she find the time in the next 3 days? Suwon thought that tomorrow was Monday, and she would have to go to class as usual for 3 days in a row, so she simply wouldn't have time to complete the system task. If she had to complete the system task, it would have to be tonight. Did she really have to go out with GUI Ran tonight? Although Suwon would be very happy to accompany GUI Ran for a stroll and have some fun, he was afraid that his sudden invitation would seem a bit strange. But just as Suwon was hesitating whether he should invite GUI Ran out for a stroll, GUI Ran's WeChat and phone number actually appeared on his phone. Seeing it was GUI Ran, Suwon connected without thinking. Hello, what are you doing? Are you done with your things? GUI Ran's gentle voice came from the phone. I'm done, I just got home. Suwon answered directly in the face of GUI Ran's inquiry. Hearing that Suwon had finished his business, GUI Ran's heart immediately wavered. Should I ask the big idiot to go shopping with me tonight? Will he refuse me? Will he think I'm a girl who doesn't know how to hold back? So confusing. Before she could even speak, GUI Ran's inner monologue was already incredibly rich. But after hesitating for a few seconds, GUI Ran still chose to listen to her heart. Date. It's just that I'm not modest, so what if I'm not modest? If I let this idiot go, who knows what kind of trouble he'll cause some innocent girl in the future? No way. I, GUI Ran, will complete this task of ridding the world of this menace. Are you free that night? I want you to go shopping with me. Finally gathering her courage, GUI Ran blushed as she issued her invitation to Suwon over the phone. What? Upon hearing GUI Ran's invitation, Suwon's eyes widened. Could it be that she really was the legendary chosen one? The system is not issuing tasks to me, it is obviously sending me rewards. Seeing Suwon's reaction, GUI Ran quickly changed her words. If you don't want to, then forget it. Although she said this, GUI Ran felt aggrieved in her heart. After all, she was a beautiful girl who was considered the school beauty queen, and usually no one had the chance to talk to her for more than a few words. Why was it so different with Suwon? GUI Ran felt like crying when she thought about it. Fortunately, Suwon immediately responded after hearing what GUI Ran said. I have time, I can go out with you. Really? GUI Ran's mood instantly brightened when she heard Suwon's reply. Of course it's true. After dinner, I'll come pick you up downstairs. Upon hearing this, Guiran's face revealed a sweet smile. Great. After hanging up the phone, Guiran threw himself back onto his bed. He pulled the pink bunny to him. You're lucky you didn't reject my invitation, or I wouldn't have talked to you for a month. On the other side, Suwon, after hanging up the phone, also fell into deep doubt. Is the system there? Speak quickly, fart quickly. Are you sure you're giving me a mission, not a reward? Suwon asked the god-level dog food system very doubtfully. Because whether it was the first mission or this one, Suwon felt like she hadn't done anything, as if Guiran had received the mission and quickly completed it for her. I feel like I've bound the wrong host, I should go find Guiran. The god-level dog food system also responded with a bit of a speechless tone. It wasn't that it hadn't seen the world before, but Suwon was really a bit outrageous. Everyone else had to work really hard to chase after the school beauty, but Suwon just turned into a stunning school beauty and chased after me? You're right. Next time there's a task like this, remember to post a bit more. Like what? Tell me to go kiss Gu Rui, or... Shut up. I've never seen such a brazen person. Amidst Suwon's laughter, the god-level dog food system chose to shut itself in. It never occurred to it that the awesome god-level dog food system, would end up with a mouthful of dog food. It was truly a shock to wake up from a dead sleep, and the clown was actually myself? Chapter 22, Convincing his mother to take over the shop. It was still early before the time Su Yan had agreed upon with Gu Rui. So Suwon took out his math textbooks and flipped through them. Suwon's IQ was never bad. In his previous life, he was too busy having fun and his mother Wang Lan didn't have time to discipline him. Now that he has lived again, Suwon's level of effort is not inferior to those top students in school. With Suwon's current strength, he can score full marks in mathematics. It is no problem to achieve the same score as Guiran. Of course, the tenfold comprehension of S-level abilities accounts for most of the credit. After Suwon had read for a while, his mother Wang Lan returned from outside. Mom, why are you home so early today? A glance at the clock on the wall showed that it was only 5 o'clock. Normally, her mother would not return from the market until around 6 o'clock, when there were no more people left. It's because she doesn't want you to go hungry at home, isn't it? You are now at a critical time before the college entrance exam, so you must keep up your nutrition and not go hungry. Just look at what your mother has prepared for you today. Saying this, Wang Lan waved the plastic bag she was holding in front of Suwon's face. Your favorite beef, Wang Lan said, looking at Suwon with love. Mom. Looking at her mother in front of her, Suwon's eyes reddened slightly. In both her past life and the present, Wang Lan had always worked hard and taken on responsibilities without complaint in Suwon's eyes. Even though she had raised Suwon alone, she had never once complained. Okay, Mom is going to go cook. If you want to study, study, if not, relax and watch TV. Wang Lan then walked into the kitchen with the beef and vegetables in her hands. An hour and a half later, the delicious food was served on the table. Suwon looked up at her mother, Wang Lan, after taking a look at the sumptuous dinner on the table. Mom, there's something I want to talk to you about. Hearing Suwon's words, Wang Lan sat down. What is it? Wang Lan looked at Suwon with some confusion. It was because Suwon rarely spoke to her in such a formal way. Well, I have a classmate whose family has an empty storefront near our neighborhood. Since his family has now moved away from us, he was wondering if someone could help them look after the store. Then I thought, Mom, you sell vegetables, right? Since there is so much competition in the vegetable market, it would be better to open a storefront, so I agreed to help my classmate look after the store. Suwon knew that his reasons sounded a bit lame, but he really couldn't think of a better excuse at the moment. Upon hearing Suwon's words, Wang Lan immediately shook her head. No, a storefront is very expensive. Where would our family find the money for that? It's free. He said that if it's left empty and no one looks after it, it will get moldy inside, so as long as we help him take care of it normally, it's the same as renting the space to us for free. Seeing that her mother was indeed concerned about the money, Suwon immediately replied. That's not good either. How can we take advantage of someone for free when a storefront is so expensive? Wang Lan is a simple-minded person, so she was reluctant to take advantage of this bargain. Oh dear, I already agreed to it, and now you're saying no? Won't that make me lose face? Besides, if you really feel bad about not wanting to use the store for free, you can make it up to them when you make money. Seeing that her mother was dead set against the idea, Suwon pretended to be angry. But Wang Lan naturally knew that having a store was much better than being in the market, but she was still a little uneasy. Don't worry, I've already been given the keys. After dinner, I'll show you the place. Before her mother could say anything else, Suan had already made the decision for her. Okay, but if we really make any money, we must pay the rent to the landlord. Hearing Suan say that, Wang Lan had no choice but to nod her agreement. After dinner, Suan took her mother Wang Lan to the house he had rented in the afternoon. After opening the roller shutter, Wang Lan's eyes revealed a hint of surprise. The house that Suan had chosen was really suitable for selling vegetables and fruits. It was not too big or too small, and was just right for Wang Lan. Anan, is it true that your classmate's family is letting us use it for free? Wang Lan asked Suan doubtfully, seeing that the walls were painted white and the water and electricity were all in place. Yes, they said that if no one looked after the place, it would get moldy and rot. Even if we accidentally dirty it, we can just repaint the walls for them, Suan continued, addressing her mother. Okay, then. In a couple of days, I'll move here and start a business, Wang Lan said. Although Wang Lan didn't have much education, she wasn't stupid. There were hundreds of households in the vicinity of the store, so the business would definitely not be bad. The reason she hadn't considered renting it before was because she really didn't have that much money. She can't save even a little of the 3,000 yuan income per month. And Suan is about to take the college entrance exam, and after that, she will go to college. Wang Lan is still worried about the large tuition fees, so she has not considered renting the storefront. Now that someone is offering to let her use the storefront for free, she is naturally very happy. Seeing that her mother has finally agreed, Suan can't help but let out a sigh of relief. I'm really having a hard time. Suan can't help but lament in her heart. Other people just pay the money and forget about it, but he not only has to pay, he also has to find a way to make up a story to convince his mother. Is this really the price that a handsome guy like me has to pay? After showing her mother the house, Suan was ready to leave and pick up Guiran. At first, when she saw that Suan still wanted to go out at night, Wang Lan didn't want Suan to go out. However, after hearing that it was Guiran waiting for Suan, Wang Lan, as if her face had changed, pushed Suan out of the door before he could finish putting on his shoes. What's more outrageous is that Wang Lan even threw Suan's ID card out with him. Mom, I'm just going out with Iran for a stroll, why did you take out my ID card? Suan's eyes widened. Cough cough, just take it, you might need it. Oh yeah, here's some money for you. Wang Lan then took 2 wrinkled 100 yuan bills from her wallet and stuffed them into Suan's hands. Mom, I have money on me. If it were Suan from the previous life, he would have taken the money from his mother's hands directly. But now he would never do that again. You have money? What money do you have? I don't even know if you have 2 coins in your pocket. Even if you go shopping with Shiran, you can't even buy a bottle of water without making the girl pay, right? Take it. Suan was speechless in the face of her meticulous mother. After taking the money, Suan just ran away. He was afraid that if he continued to stay, Wang Lan would even tell him to take precautions. P.S. I feel a bit bad after reading the data. Don't you guys like the style of this book? If you have any good suggestions or comments, you can leave a comment. Chapter 23, A Photo with the School Beauty. When they arrived at the entrance to Guiran's residential compound, Suan immediately saw Guiran, who was wearing a white long-sleeved jacket over her upper body and black flared jeans. She had to admit that Guiran's figure was truly amazing, and no matter what clothes she wore, they always looked great on her. When she saw Suan, Guiran immediately walked back quickly. The evening breeze blew her hair up. A faint scent of milk-scented shampoo drifted into Suan's nose. Have you already taken a shower? Smelling the faint fragrance on Guiran's body, Suan asked curiously. Yes, why? Guiran replied, arranging her long hair over her shoulders. It's nothing, it's just that I can smell a fragrance on you. Guiran's pretty face flushed when she heard Suan's words. Yuck! Scoundrel! Of course, Suan said so, but if it was any other guy, he would probably be instantly blacklisted by Guiran. Let's go, don't you want to go to the supermarket? After picking up Guiran, Suan accompanied her to the city center of Jinling. Although Jinling is not considered a true first-tier city in Longhua, there is still a big gap compared to the capital city and the Demon City. However, the city center is still quite prosperous, with all kinds of shops lining the streets and shelves full of all kinds of goods. Shopping seems to be a woman's nature, and even a goddess like Guiran, the school beauty of this caliber, can't escape it. As soon as they entered the RT Mart supermarket, Gui Ran became very excited. She looked left and right, beaming with joy. Come on! Just as Suan had stopped in front of a shelf selling toys, Gui Ran called out to him. Hearing Gui Ran's call, Suan immediately walked quickly over. What do you think? Does this hair clip look good? As soon as Suan got to Gui Ran, he saw her pick up a blue butterfly hair clip and put it in her hair. Seeing Gui Ran wearing the blue butterfly hair clip, Suan's eyes lit up. Gui Ran's overall black and white outfit today was a bit solemn and serious, but with this sky blue butterfly hair clip, instantly, the solemnity was broken, and a touch of liveliness and vivacity was added. It looks great. Suan took a deep breath as she looked at Gui Ran, who was smiling like a flower. Humph. I knew you were just saying it looks good. Every time I ask you, you say it looks good, which is just a way of saying no. Gui Ran couldn't help but give Suan a white look. But obviously she really liked the blue butterfly hair clip, and kept looking at herself in the mirror. I really do think it looks good. I'm telling the truth. Suan smiled helplessly. It really is pretty, isn't it? Upon hearing Suan's reply, Gui Ran's eyes twinkled, as if she had thought of a brilliant idea. Yes, it is pretty. Suan nodded. Okay. If it's pretty, then you wear this. With that, Gui Ran took another hair clip from the shelf, identical to the one she was wearing on her head, and handed it to Suan. Suan raised an eyebrow at the sight of Gui Ran actually letting her wear a hair clip. Isn't this a bit inappropriate? Although in this era, the culture of young fresh meat has already become quite mainstream among young people. But Suan, as a straight man, is still very resistant to effeminate behavior. Just put it on quickly and take a photo with me, I'll go back and compare to see if it looks good. Gui Ran naturally didn't want Suan to keep wearing it. She just wanted to trick Suan into taking a photo with her. No need, I'm afraid that our two photos together would make a thick photo album. It is true that the two of them have been living together since they were young, and there have certainly been plenty of photos of them together. Hearing Suan's words, Gui Ran immediately pulled out her tried and true trick. She instantly pulled a long face and looked at Suan with pitiful eyes. It was as if Gui Ran was going to cry the next second if Suan didn't agree to her request. Seeing Gui Ran in this stance, Suan immediately surrendered. No, I'll take a photo with you. I'll accompany you, okay? Seeing that Suan had changed her mind, Gu Ringy's face immediately revealed a smile of success. Look at the camera quickly. Thus, under Gu Ringy's coercion and enticement, Suan leaned very close to her, and the two took two photos in a manner similar to a couple taking photos. Looking at the photo on her phone of herself and Suan wearing butterfly hair clips together, Gu Ringy nodded with satisfaction. Not bad, it looks quite good. Ding. Feeling the envy of the single dog Wang Jun, gaining 15 sugar spreading points. Ding. Feeling the envy of the single dog Su Hu, gaining 8 sugar spreading points. Ding. Feeling the envy of Lu Hong, gaining 5 sugar spreading points. Because it was the weekend, there were a lot of people shopping in RT Mart. The handsome couple of Suan and Gui Ran naturally attracted a lot of attention. Seeing how close Suan was to Gui Ran naturally made a lot of single guys feel like they had been dealt a 10,000 point critical blow. Single guy number 1, damn it, I shouldn't have gone out shopping at the supermarket tonight. Single guy number 2, fuck, I haven't been injured this badly even on the battlefield in Syria. Single dog number 3, mom. I'll never go to the supermarket again. Not only the single dogs, but also some guys with girlfriends shed tears of envy after seeing Gui Ran and Suan in such a sweet state. Why? Why do other people's girlfriends not only look so beautiful, but also so gentle? As soon as the words fell, an unpleasant voice came from the side of the man. What did you say? How about this durian? The girlfriend asked the man, who was enviously looking at Suan, in a cold voice. No way. The man hurriedly refused. Of course he knew that the durian was not for him to eat, but for him to kneel. If you can't do it, then you have to hold out for 2 hours tonight, otherwise, kneel durian. 2 hours, are you trying to murder your husband? Hearing that his girlfriend wanted him to hold out for 2 hours, the man couldn't help but feel weak in the legs. I don't care. Elbow, come home with me. With that, the woman forcibly dragged her boyfriend home. Upon hearing the prompt from the God-level dog food system, Suan was happy to get points. After all, these points could be exchanged for real money. But he just couldn't understand why these single dogs were envious. Didn't he just take a photo with Gui Ran? What was there to envy? No one has never taken a photo with a girl, right? Right? Suwon had no idea that his treatment would make the single dogs so envious that their teeth were grinding. Chapter 24, A Special Thank You. After taking a few pictures with a contented Suwon, Guiran saved all the photos. Let's go, buy something else. With a blue butterfly hair clip in hand, Guiran dragged Suwon to buy some daily necessities. Of course, as a young man, Suwon naturally took on the role of a free laborer, helping Guiran carry a half-filled bag of things. After leaving our T-Mart, Suwon and Guiran walked towards home. However, when they passed by a shop, Guiran suddenly stopped. Today you carried things for me as a free laborer, so I'll give you a present too. With that, Guiran walked into the shop next to them without waiting for Suwon to reply. A few minutes later, Guiran had a few more study materials in his hands. 5-year college entrance examination, 3-year simulation and college entrance examination sprint 1,000 questions. Suwon's eyes widened when she saw the materials in Guiran's hands. Is this really your gift? Yes, these supplementary materials are quite good and can help you, Guiran said as she stuffed the materials into Suwon's hands. Looking at Suwon, who looked confused, Guiran added, "You don't have to thank me." Suwon, He had never expected that Guiran would give him these tutoring materials as a gift. This feeling is no different from when Suwon gave a box of winter homework to his mischievous relative's child in a previous life. There really is a cycle of retribution, and the heavens will spare no one. Suwon couldn't help but sigh. What? What did you say? Guiran didn't hear what Suwon said. It's nothing, I really like this gift from you. Suwon could only accept the thick tutorial materials that Guiran gave him with tears in his eyes. If you like it, I'll buy you more if you finish reading them all. Guiran looked like a rich woman who wanted to support Suwon. No, not yet, let me finish reading them first, That was it. After Guiran gave Suwon several tutorial materials, the two of them slowly walked back towards home. Okay, you're at your door, go back quickly. Because it was getting late, Suwon only saw Guiran to the bottom of her building and did not go up with her. Guiran nodded as she took the groceries Suwon had bought. You should go home soon too, and remember to send me a message when you get home. Guiran reminded Suwon like a proper girlfriend. Okay. Suwon nodded with a smile. After watching Guiran go upstairs, Suwon also walked towards her own home. As soon as she opened the door, Suwon heard her mother's voice. Why are you back already? There seemed to be a hint of disappointment in her tone, as if she had raised a pig for many years and it hadn't managed to root around someone else's cabbage patch. Hearing her mother's query, Suwon helplessly rolled her eyes. Mom, I still have to go to class tomorrow, what if I don't come back? Oh, that's right, you still have to go to class tomorrow, no rush. Wang Lan said to herself. What's there not to hurry? Suwon looked at her mother, Wang Lan, with confusion. Nothing, I mean you should go take a bath quickly and get some rest, you still have to go to class tomorrow. Naturally, Wang Lan would not say that she was looking forward to Suwon being able to woo Guiran as his girlfriend soon. Well, you should go to bed early too, you still have to be busy with the opening of the store these 2 days. Suwon also said to her mother, Wang Lan. I know, I don't need you to worry about me, just go. Wang Lan waved her hand at Suwon. After taking a shower and lying on the bed, Suwon immediately heard the voice of the divine dog food system. Ding! Host successfully completed the task issued by the system. Ding! Task reward has been distributed, please check. I don't know if it's Suwon's illusion or what, but he always felt that the voice of the divine dog food system had changed. It seemed to be gritting its teeth, as if it was unhappy with him. System, are you unhappy? Do you think I can be happy when someone has stuffed my god-level dog food system with dog food? The god-level dog food system replied testily in response to Suwon's query. Oh, you're not happy, I'm relieved to hear it. Suwon let out a light laugh. I've never seen such a brazen host. After scolding the despicable Suwon, the god-level dog food system continued to shut itself away. After teasing the god-level dog food system, Suwon also opened her own attribute panel. Name, Suwon. Age, 18 years old. Bound to, Guiran. Unlocked special abilities, tenfold comprehension ability, S-Class, God-level musical talent, SSS Class. Sugar value, 412/500. Sugar level, LV2. Reward redemption store. 1 lucky draw, 100 sugar value. 1,000 yuan in cash, 10 sugar value. 10,000 yuan in cash, 90 sugar value. Basic strength enhancement, obtained, 100 sugar value. Basic speed enhancement, redeemed, 100 sugar value. Primary physical enhancement, 200 sugar points. System evaluation, waste. Hey, that's not right, why do I have 412 points? Suwon was a little confused when he saw that he had a whopping 412 points. He roughly calculated that he had earned 200 points for completing the task and more than 100 points for shopping. Logically, he should have more than 300 points, so why was there an extra 100 points? Ding! Because the host has obtained the SSS level God level musical talent, the beginner's musical talent enhancement in the reward redemption store has disappeared, and the host has been compensated with 100 points of sugar spreading points. It seems that it heard Suwon's confusion, and the God level dog food system still answered his question. After hearing the God level dog food system's answer, and looking again at his reward redemption store, he indeed no longer had the beginner's musical talent enhancement redemption option. Suwon suddenly understood. Ding! Host has been detected to have obtained a primary strength enhancement. Do you wish to proceed with physical muscle evolution now? Proceed. Suwon nodded. A few seconds later, the system's voice sounded again. Ding! Muscle evolution has begun. Upon completion, the host's strength will be increased by 100%. This is a necessary process of muscle evolution, please be patient. Seeing Suwon making strange noises in pain, the God-level dog food system finally felt vindicated. Although Suwon was trying his best to endure, the sound still came out of the room and was heard by Suwon's mother, Wang Lan, who was about to go back to bed. Hearing the noise from Suwon's room, Wang Lan immediately got the wrong idea. She thought Suwon was doing some needlework. She was about to knock on the door to admonish Suwon, but when she reached the door, she stopped. Hey, let him be. The child is old enough. When he gets a girlfriend in the future, he might get better. In this way, Suwon was completely taken advantage of by the God-level dog food system. P.S. I sincerely ask the audience not to raise books. 2 chapters completed. Remember to rate and bookmark. Chapter 25. Why aren't you jealous? The next day. Because there was a class today, Suwon got up early and went to school just like he did last time. Suwon had already caught up in Chinese and math. According to Suwon's plan, his main focus had now changed from math to English. In the beginning, Suwon thought that even if he had 10 times the comprehension ability, it would still take a long time for him to catch up with the top students like Guiran. But who knew that this 10-fold comprehension ability was really abnormal? In less than a week, Suwon caught up with both Chinese and mathematics. There was less than half a month before the next monthly exam. Suwon was confident that he could get an unbelievable result in the 3 subjects of Chinese, mathematics and English. Back to the subject of English. If you were to ask which of the 6 subjects of Chinese, mathematics, English, physics, biology and chemistry Suwon loved and hated, Suwon would have answered without hesitation, English. Because in English, apart from composition, almost all the questions are multiple choice. There is always a 1 in 4 chance of guessing right if you choose one of the 4 options A, B, C or D. Therefore, before Suwon was reborn, the reason for her fluctuating grades basically lay in English. Using the essential mnemonic for academic underachievers. Choose the shortest of 3 long and 1 short, and the longest of 3 short and 1 long. If there are 2 long and 2 short, choose B, and if they are the same length, choose A. If the lengths are different, choose D, if they are uneven, choose C, if they are the same, choose A. Copy the main points and supplement with guesswork. A combination of copying and supplementing will definitely get you a passing grade. Of course, this set of rules is not foolproof. When Suwon was less lucky, she had scored 20 out of 150, the maximum possible score in English. In fact, English is relatively easy to learn, and the most important thing is to accumulate vocabulary. Many teachers emphasize the importance of grammar, but what really stumps students is not some bullshit grammar, but the fact that they don't know any words. If you don't know any words, reading English will naturally be like reading a book from the sky. After knowing how to learn English, Suwon took out the 3,500 words that must be memorized for the college entrance exam. 10 times comprehension ability also includes memory. In the past, Suwon needed 5 or 6 minutes to memorize a word. Now it only takes a dozen seconds, and she remembers it quickly and firmly, with no sign of forgetting at all. Just as Suwon was about to start memorizing English words, suddenly a 1.8-meter tall boy appeared in front of her. Where is Guiran's seat? The tall but thug-like boy kicked Suwon's desk. If this were in front of her eyes, Suwon would definitely pick up a bench and fight with the boy in front of her. But now Suwon knows that fighting is useless. In the past, fighting was cool and handsome in his eyes, but after graduating from school, when others studied hard and got into college, he naturally regretted not even being able to get into college. I'm next. You're next? Are you the legendary loser Suwon from that school? Hearing Suwon's reply, Lu Chang, a small gangster in class 7, was a little surprised and asked the former with his ears. I'm Suwon. Wow, even a loser has started studying. You don't still want to go to the same university as the school beauty, do you? Lu Chang was overjoyed to see that Suwon was actually holding the words that must be memorized for the college entrance exam. Whether I go to the same university as Guiran or not, I don't know. Anyway, I don't think I'll go to the same university as you. Suwon responded coldly with a blank expression. Although Suwon's last monthly exam score was the lowest in the entire grade, in reality, there are actually many people like Lu Chang who are actually not as good as Suwon. Don't look at them, they all scored 100 or 2 points, but those are scores obtained by cheating. If we really talk about true ability, perhaps Suwon is really much stronger than them. Hearing Suwon's words, Lu Chang revealed a fierce appearance. Kid, Guiran is still the goddess I like, so if you know what's good for you, you'll stay away from her, otherwise. Just as Lu Chang was threatening Suwon, a voice sounded from behind Lu Chang. Why should he stay away from me? As soon as the words fell, many classmates turned their attention to Guiran, who had just walked into the classroom. Seeing the goddess of his heart come, Lu Chang looked a little flustered. Gu, this is a letter I wrote to you, please accept it. With that, Lu Chang took out an exquisitely wrapped envelope from his pocket. Of course, with Lu Chang's unrecognizable handwriting, he naturally didn't dare to write the love letter to Guiran himself. He had the classmates in the class threaten him to write it for him instead. Seeing the love letter that Lu Chang handed over, Guiran didn't even think about it and just tore it into pieces. Seeing that Guiran actually tore Lu Chang's love letter to pieces to vent her anger on Suwon, the dozen or so classmates in the class were dumbfounded. It was really nothing out of the ordinary for a goddess of Guiran's caliber to receive a love letter. But in the face of the vast majority of love letters, Guiran would politely return the love letter. It was really the first time she had torn the love letter to pieces in front of him. When you saw Guiran tear up her love letter in front of her face, Lu Chang's face turned red and white with shame. But who let Guiran be his dream goddess? He could only blame this on Suwon. You wait for me after school. Turning his back on Guiran, Lu Chang threatened Suwon with his mouth without saying a word. Facing Lu Chang's threat, Suwon just nodded lightly. After dropping a harsh remark, Lu Chang quickly left from Jinling High School Class 1. After all, he had lost face here, and even Lu Chang, who had an impenetrable thick skin, did not have the face to stay here any longer. After watching Lu Chang leave, Guiran sat back down in her seat, furious. What kind of person is he really? He even told Suwon to stay away from me and not to stick to me? It was obviously me who was sticking to Suwon, right? If Suwon really ignores me because of this, I'm not finished with you. To her, not even 100 Lu Changs could compare to Suwon's position in her heart. You're not angry, are you? Seeing that Suwon didn't say a word after Lu Chang left, Guiran was a little worried. It was hard enough to get Suwon to take a few good-looking photos with her last night, and if she upset Suwon today because of Lu Chang, then Guiran really would have no tears left to cry. Why be angry? Hearing Guiran's query, Suwon curiously turned his head and looked at her. Well, aren't you jealous? What's there to be jealous of? Suwon replied indifferently. You idiot. What do you mean, what's there to be jealous of? Idiot Suwon, no, I don't dislike it. Guiran's heart instantly doubted. Looking at Suwon so calm, there was no psychological change because of Lu Chang's appearance. Just now, Guiran was afraid that Suwon would be jealous. Now, for some reason, she suddenly hoped that it would be nice if Suwon were jealous. Chapter 26I, Suwon did not cheat. The first 2 periods on Monday morning were math classes. As soon as the bell rang, the math teacher, Luo Shioli, walked in directly with the exam papers. Class, we're having a pop quiz today. Hearing the words of the math teacher, Luo Xiuli, there was an instant chorus of wailing in the class. It was very simple. There were points for pop quizzes, and if you didn't do well, you would naturally get scolded when you went home. Therefore, apart from the top students, basically the vast majority of students don't want to take the test. Don't sigh, everyone. The college entrance exam is coming up soon, so you need to see how you measure up. Luo Xiuli is very young, having just graduated from university not long ago, so she gets along well with her students and has a lot of fun with them. She doesn't have much of the kind of teacherly aloofness and seriousness, and is more approachable. Here, hand out the test papers. Luo Xiuli smiles as she looks at the group of children in front of her, who are not much older than her. She had also been at this age before, so she naturally knew what her classmates were thinking. But she was also a teacher, and as such had a responsibility. The math class representative, Hu Xin, took the test paper from Luo Xiuli's hands and quickly handed it out. Because during the exam, in order to prevent people from peeking, the seats that were originally two together were separated. Each person sat alone, with empty spaces to the left and right. Upon receiving the test paper, Suwon couldn't help but feel a little excited. This was his first exam after obtaining the counterfeit system. And it's math, which he has already prepared for. This time, Suwon is going to wash away his reputation as a loser in one fell swoop. Looking at the questions on the test paper in his hands, Suwon took out some scratch paper and started calculating. It has to be said that Suwon's hard work these days has paid off. He spent just 20 minutes working through the multiple choice questions, and he got every single one right. In fact, high school stuff isn't that difficult, it's basically just a variation of the knowledge points in the textbook. As long as you firmly grasp the knowledge points in the textbook and have enough practice, it's not too difficult to answer the questions. After finishing the multiple choice questions, Suwon began to look at the 5 fill-in-the-blank questions. He quickly did the first 4 as well. The last one did cause Suwon a bit of trouble, though. After racking her brains for a long time, Suwon couldn't think of anything, so she simply skipped the last one. She started working on the big questions. As time passed, Suwon quickly solved all the questions except the second question and the last big question, and she finished writing all the answers. In fact, if Suwon had been patient, she would have been able to figure out the 5th fill-in-the-blank question and the second question and the last big question. But Suwon felt that getting 100 to 130 points would be enough. If she got a perfect score on her first attempt, Suwon didn't think it was necessary. After finishing the questions, Suwon was fine. Looking up, she saw that most of the students were still writing furiously. Some were racking their brains, while others were scratching their heads. Some were even as ridiculous as Song Qian, who was throwing his eraser into the air. Ordinary people might not know what Song Qian was doing, but Suwon, as an old academic slacker, naturally knew. Song Qian wrote the 4 English letters A, B, C, D on all sides of the eraser. Then he tossed the eraser like a dice. Whichever answer was up, he chose. In the past, Suwon was also an expert at doing this kind of thing. But now there is no need for him to do that anymore. After looking at his classmates, Suwon leaned over the table and looked over to his side at Guiran. Looking at Guiran's beautiful profile, Suwon couldn't help but see little hearts in his eyes. It seemed that she had sensed someone staring at her, and when she turned her head, she saw Suwon staring at her in a daze. Seeing Suwon staring at her in a daze, Guiran couldn't help but blush. Seeing Suwon staring at her instead of doing the test paper, Guiran tore off a small piece of paper and wrote something down before throwing it at Suwon. Suwon instantly reacted when she was hit by Guiran's note. Why was she staring without writing the test paper? Looking at the neat handwriting on the note, Suwon gave a small smile. But before Suwon could reply to Guiran, the math teacher, Luo Xiuli, walked up to Suwon. Give it to me. Luo Xiuli stood at the front of the class, watching the actions of the students below her perfectly. Although Luo Xiuli treats her students like friends, she hates cheating. Because cheating seems to deceive others, but in fact, it is cheating yourself. That's why Luo Xiuli often emphasizes to her classmates that even if they are only trying to get a single-digit grade, they must never cheat. Now that she saw Guiran passing notes to Suwon, Luo Xiuli naturally assumed that Suwon was asking Guiran to tell him the answers. Suwon knew that Miss Luo had misunderstood him, so without any hesitation he handed the note directly to the latter. I've told you many times, you mustn't cheat. Cheating is a betrayal of yourself. As news of the commotion spread, the attention of the entire class was drawn to Suwon. Luo Xiuli scolded Suwon while opening the note. But when she saw the content of the note, her words stopped instantly. This. Looked at the content of the note, Luo Xiaoli couldn't help laughing. Teacher, I've finished the test paper, I have no need to cheat. In order to clear himself of suspicion of cheating, Suwon waved the completed test paper in front of the math teacher. You're done? The exam is only half over, and Luo Xiaoli was a little stunned to see Suwon's finished exam paper. If you don't believe me, just take a look. Suwon handed the exam paper to Luo Xiaoli. Looking at the exam paper, which Suwon had finished in just half the time, Luo Xiaoli was stunned. Not only were all the multiple choice questions correct, but there were basically no mistakes in the answers to the longer questions either. Apart from a few minor details, Suwon's exam paper was simply perfect. You really wrote this? Luo Xiaoli was shocked beyond words. Finishing the test in half the time it took the last student to do it was as unlikely as asking Wei Xiaoming to win the NBA championship. Of course, is there anyone who can write it faster than me? If it were said that all the other students had finished writing, there was still the possibility that Suwon had cheated. But even Gui Ran had only just finished the first question, so there was no way Suwon could have copied even if she wanted to. Looking at Suwon, who was full of confidence, Luo Xiaoli secretly doubted in her heart. Has Suwon suddenly found a way to completely reverse the situation? P.S. Thanks to all of you for your support with your comments. I will continue to write diligently. Thanks to Chin Tao, /dad/ Banana is the best, Lin Wanian, and other friends for their gifts. Remember to give 5-star reviews, save, and urge for more. Chapter 27, Showing Mathematical Talent. You continue with the exam, and don't whisper to each other. In order to figure out what the hell Suwon was up to, Luo Xiaoli took Suwon to her office. After carefully going over the exam paper that Suwon had finished, the shock on Luo Xiaoli's face became more and more obvious. Be honest with me, did you do this exam paper in advance? Now for Luo Xiaoli, the only reasonable explanation was that Suwon had happened to do this exam paper before and remembered the answers on it. If I hadn't, I really would have just done it on the spot. Suwon looked at Luo Xiaoli seriously and replied. After all, this was originally completed by his own strength. Even if he deliberately lied now to avoid shocking teacher Luo, the next exam would still arouse the suspicion of others. In that case, it might as well be admitted now. Hearing Suwon's reply, Luo Xiaoli's face instantly fell. Suwon, I have always taught you that it is fine to have poor academic results, but you must be honest and not lie. Looking at the mathematics teacher, Suwon felt a wave of helplessness. She clearly had the ability, but why didn't anyone believe her? Teacher Luo, I really did do these questions myself. Why don't you find another set of exam papers and I'll do them now? In order to prove her innocence, Suwon had no choice but to propose doing another set of exam papers. When Suwon made this suggestion, Luo Xiaoli's eyes lit up. That's a good idea. If you really can get such a high score on your own, you can stop doing your math homework in the future. You can get 130 to 140 points in less than an hour. At this level, you can go directly to the college entrance exam, so why do you need to do any homework? Really? Although doing math homework is no longer a torture for Suwon. But when she heard that Luo Xiaoli said she didn't have to do her homework anymore, Suwon was very happy. Don't get too excited, I'm talking about the test paper I found for you now, you also have to get at least a score of 130. Seeing the joy on Suwon's face, Luo Xiaoli couldn't help but say to him. Okay, no problem. Just like that, Luo Xiaoli found another set of papers from the pile at her desk that had the same level of difficulty as the one she had just given the students. You sit here and write, I'll go back and watch them take the test. It'll probably take about half the time, and you should be done writing just as they finish. With that, Luo Xiaoli gave Suwon her office chair. Suwon was probably the first person to ever take a test while sitting in a teacher's office chair. Looking at the test paper in her hands, Suwon grabbed some scratch paper and immediately began doing the calculations. The 40 minutes passed quickly, and Suwon had already completed most of the test. Hey, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be in math class? Did you make a mistake again? As the end of the class approached, the homeroom teacher, Lin Shui, walked into the office. Since the teachers of the three subjects of Chinese, math, and English all shared the same office, Luo Xiaoli's office was also Lin Shui's office. As soon as she entered the room, she saw Suwon sitting in the seat of the math teacher, Luo Xiaoli. Lin Shui asked Suwon curiously. No, I'm just very good. Suwon explained to Lin Shui. What nonsense! I'm too strong? What are you talking about? I said I did really well in the exam, but Miss Luo didn't believe it was because of my ability, so she dragged me here to give me another exam to prove myself. Seeing that Lin Shui didn't understand what she meant, Suan explained in detail. You did really well? Are you making fun of me again? Do you believe I'll separate you from Gui Ran's seat right now? Hearing Suan's words, Lin Shui couldn't help rolling her eyes. Knowing that Lin Shui didn't believe in herself either, Suan let out a sigh. Hey, invincibility is so lonely. Just as Suan sighed, the math teacher, Luo Shelley, also walked in. Stop sighing here, how's the exam paper coming along? I'm missing the last question and don't want to write it. Suan answered directly when she saw Luo Shelley ask about the exam paper. Don't want to write it? Why? Luo Shelley was puzzled. 130 points should be enough. Isn't it a waste to write more? Suan replied with a serious face. Hearing Suan's words, the two beautiful women, Luo Shelley and Lin Shui, were both speechless. They picked up the second set of papers that Suan had written. A few minutes later, the same expression of surprise that they had seen on Suan's first set of papers appeared on Luo Shelley's face again. With the exception of one large question at the end that was left blank, all the questions that Suan had answered were correct. Seeing the expression on Luo Shelley's face, Lin Shui, the homeroom teacher, also poked her head over. Everything he doesn't know is correct, right? It had been several years since she graduated from high school, and Lin Shui had returned all the high school math knowledge she had learned to her math teacher. Therefore, looking at the complicated and tedious solution process on the exam paper, she couldn't understand it at all. Hearing Lin Shui's inquiry, Luo Shelley nodded blankly. Not only was it correct, but the solution methods for some questions were also very clever. This time, Luo Shelley completely believed Suan. Because some of Suan's solution methods on this exam paper were different from the standard answers. Suan, can you tell me how you did it? Or did you deliberately get a single digit in the past? Although Luo Shelley had never seen anything so outrageous, the facts were right in front of her. Whether she believed it or not, Suan's current level of mathematics was just that outrageous. Ahem. Upon hearing Luo Shelley ask if she had deliberately scored single digits in the past, Suan coughed twice awkwardly. She suddenly had an epiphany, realizing that studying was the only thing that could truly make her happy. Suan put on a good student's appearance. If Luo Shelley and Lin Shui had heard Suan say this before, they would have burst out laughing. But now neither of them dared to make fun of Suan. Teacher Luo said it was fine, but I won't do any more math homework from now on. Suan said to Luo Shelley, thinking of the promise she had made with her before. Okay. As long as your math score can always stay above 130, you don't have to do my homework. Luo Shelley also nodded in agreement. Lin Shui was depressed to see Suan suddenly transform from a math idiot to a math genius. Suan, when will you have an epiphany in English? When will you get a 130 for me and make me happy? Well, in a few days. It takes time to have an epiphany. It's impossible to have an epiphany in all subjects at once, isn't it? Suan said, excusing himself when he heard Lin Shui's words. Because he had just started preparing for English, naturally he couldn't do as well as with mathematics, which he had studied for a while. He was able to easily get an outrageous score of 134 out of 100. Chapter 28 Distracting Gui Ran. Okay, I'll wait and see when you can also surprise me with your English grades. Upon hearing Suan's words, Lin Shui replied with a smile. Leaving the office, Suan went straight back to his seat. Since class was over, as soon as Suan returned to his seat, Gui Ran looked at him. What did the teacher want with you just now? Gui Ran asked, looking at Suan nervously. Nothing much, I just felt that it was unusual for me to suddenly be able to do so well in the exam, so I wanted to verify it. Verify? How? Gui Ran was puzzled. It's nothing, anyway, now Miss Luo believes that I really wrote the test paper myself. Suan replied indifferently. Of course I know you wrote it yourself, I had only finished the first question when you had already finished the whole paper. How could you have copied from me? Gui Ran often copied her homework from Suan, but she had never helped her cheat in an exam. She agreed with Luo Shelley's view. In Gui Ran's opinion, cheating in an exam was cheating oneself, not others. After the math class, there were 2 consecutive biology classes. The morning quickly passed, except for Suan, who was called to the office by the math teacher. Everything was normal. Seeing Gui Ran go to the bathroom with a few female classmates, Suan's best friend Songqian immediately came up to Suan. Brethren, did you have a conflict with Lu Chang from class 7 this morning? Song Qian asked Suan with some concern. Whoever had a conflict with him is mentally ill. Suan replied disdainfully. Upon hearing Suan's words, Song Qian's heart sank. Brethren, Lu Chang is no ordinary little thug. He is one of the top bullies in our school's 3rd year, and many little thugs hang out with him. He is not someone to mess with. And I heard that he threatened to block you after school this morning. What are you going to do? What am I going to do? If he wants to play, let's play with him. Am I afraid of him? Suan in his previous life was a master of not fearing trouble. Now that he has been reborn, although he doesn't like to make trouble, he is not afraid of it either. He is just a little bully who plays around at school, and even Suan from the previous life, who did not obtain the system that defies the heavens, would not be afraid. Now, Suan, who has not only been enhanced in speed but also in strength. Not to mention fighting 10 people at once, at least he can easily take care of 5 or 6 people of the same size. Therefore, Suan even less has Lu Chang in his eyes. That's not what I mean. I know you're not afraid of trouble, but Gu the flower girl has to go home with you every day. Do you dare to start a fight in front of her? Song Qian naturally knew that Suan was not afraid of others bullying him, but Gu Iran was indeed a big problem that he needed to solve. Upon hearing Song Qian's reminder, Suan patted his head. You're right, how did I forget about Iran? Gu Iran has always been against Suan fighting with others. In a previous life, there was even one time when Suan got into a fight with someone and got a bruise on his face, which made Gu Ringi ignore Suan for a week. The reason is very simple, Gu Ringi just wants to see Suan safe and sound. She doesn't want to see him with bruises on his face and body. She feels bad for him. Since that time, Suan, who was originally a devil, has become a lot more honest. So when Song Qian mentioned Gu Ringi, Suan also had a problem. How about this, I'll go find Hu Qian and ask her to take Gu Iran away first today. Hu Qian is the girl in class 2 that Song Qian likes, and she gets along well with Gu Iran. They are considered to be very good friends. Thinking that she might run into Lu Chang after school today, Suan could only think of a way to get someone to take Gu Iran away. Okay, then you go now, otherwise Gu Daxiawa is going to be back soon. Song Qian said to Suan. Because the break after the second class was a big break, with 20 minutes of rest time. So Suan had time to go next door to class and find Hu Qian. Okay, I'll go now. Suan nodded and went directly to the next class. Although it was now in the intense stage of preparing for the exam, it was still normal for students in different classes to chat in each other's classes during recess. After all, the closer it got to the college entrance exam, the greater the psychological pressure on students. Therefore, the teachers were also turning a blind eye to this situation. As long as they don't do anything too intimate in public, even if boys and girls stand together and chat, most teachers won't interfere. They have all been through that era and understand the pressure the children are under at this moment. However, as soon as Suan arrived at the door of class 2, she immediately attracted the attention of many boys in class 2. There was no doubt about it. As someone envied by almost all the boys at Jinling High School, Suan attracted attention wherever she went. The reason is simple, the school flower, Gu Rui, has been Suan's deskmate for 3 years without ever changing. This alone is enough to make the vast majority of Jinling High School's male students shed tears of envy. Seeing Suan wave at her, Hu Qian walked over with a puzzled expression. Suan, is there something you need? Because she is good friends with Gu Rui, Hu Qian is also familiar with Suan. I have something to do today, can you ask Rui to walk home with you after school? Suan looked at Hu Qian and asked directly. Something's up? You're not hitting on some girl and trying to avoid her after school, are you? I won't let you. As Gu Iran's best friend. If Suan was thinking of doing something like that, Hu Qian definitely wouldn't let him. What girl? Iran sticks with me every day. Do you think I have time to go see some other girl? Suan rolled his eyes at Hu Qian. That's right. Even though they were in different classes, Hu Qian knew that Gu Iran and Suan were almost inseparable at school. So what do you want? Hu Qian asked, seeing that Suan wasn't there to woo a girl. Don't worry about what it is, it's definitely not something that will hurt Iran. If you agree to help me, I'll buy you milk tea for a month. Thanks to his god-level dog food system, Suan was not short of money. If he wants to, he can easily redeem tens of thousands of dollars. Iran is still my good sister and best friend. She should stay for another half month. Hu Qian said to Suan with a smile. Okay, as long as you can get Iran to go, I'll give you a free pass until the end of the college entrance exam. Okay. I was just joking with you, just owe me a cup of milk tea. Hu Qian did not know that Suan was already considered a wealthy person, and thought that Suan's financial situation was not good. Therefore, she only asked for a cup of milk tea and agreed to Suan's request. P.S. Thanks to Jen Jen, who loves to eat assorted fried buns, Power Generation with Love, Kung, and other friends for their gifts. Remember to rate 5 stars, bookmark, and urge for more. Chapter 29 System Evaluation. Seeing that Hu Qian had agreed to her request, Suan thanked her repeatedly. Hey, isn't that Suan? Not only does she spend all day with Guiran, but now she's coming to our class to talk to the girls? Just as Suan was about to go back to class, Lin Ming, who had lost to Suan in the basketball game the last time, saw him. Hearing Lin Ming's strange words, Suan said indifferently, "Idiot. What are you so arrogant about? You're a waste." Lin Ming was furious when Suan directly called him an idiot. "Of course I'm not arrogant about anything, I just need to go back quickly, otherwise Iran will be worried if she doesn't see me later," Suan replied to Lin Ming. After that, Suan turned around and walked towards his class. I have to say that the reborn Suan is not at all on the same level as the Lin Ming in front of him. Suan not only wants shrimp, but also pig's heart. Sure enough, after hearing Suan's reply, Lin Ming was so angry that he jumped up and down, but there was nothing he could do about him. "What did Suan want with you? You are from our second class, how can you hang out with a loser like Suan?" Lin Ming took out his role as the learning committee member and lectured Hu Qian. Hearing Lin Ming's words, Hu Qian glanced at him. "Idiot. Lin Ming." Back in the classroom, Guiran was already back in his seat. Seeing Suan return from outside, Guiran looked up at him. "What took you so long?" "Oh, a friend from another class asked me to borrow something, so I took it to him." Of course, Suan could not tell her that he had gone to see Hu Qian. So she just made up an excuse. Guiran didn't pursue the matter after hearing Suan's explanation. She simply let it go after giving a brief "oh. By the way, how did your math grades suddenly improve so much?" Like Luo Shili, Guiran was also shocked by the speed at which Suan's math grade improved. It is true that there are students who suddenly make a big effort in the second half of their senior year and leap into the top few in their class. But someone like Suan, who only scored a few tens in the last monthly exam, has now surpassed Guiran in terms of strength. This is still a very rare situation. It's not that the supplementary materials you bought for me are amazing, I just read them a few times and suddenly understood them all, Suan said to Guiran half-jokingly. Hearing Suan's reply, Guiran rolled her eyes impatiently. She has done the 5 years of college entrance exams and 3 years of mock exams before, if there were really magical functions like what Suan said. I'm afraid that it would have already been in the hands of every senior student. Forget it, since you don't want to talk about it, then let's not talk about it. Although Suan's situation is indeed a bit outrageous, Guiran saw that Suan didn't want to talk about it. She also didn't pursue it. After all, the stronger Suan's strength is, the greater the chance of her entering the same university as her. Guiran is happy and can't wait. After a while of idle chat, the large break ended with the ringing of the class bell. On Mondays, there are 2 periods of biology class. The middle-aged biology teacher Li Xiu, wearing big thick-rimmed black glasses, was studying the laws of genetic inheritance. Since the biology subject had not yet officially begun, what Li Xiu was talking about on the stage was like a foreign language to Suan, so he didn't listen very carefully. Bored, Suan asked the God-level dog food system to bring up his attribute panel. Name, Suan. Age, 18 years old. Bound partner, Guiran. Unlocked special abilities, tenfold comprehension ability, S-level, God-level musical talent, SSS level. Sugar spreading value, 434/500. Sugar spreading level, LV2. Reward redemption store. 1 lucky draw, 100 sugar spreading value. 1,000 yuan in cash, 10 sugar spreading value. 10,000 yuan in cash, 90 sugar spreading value. Basic strength enhancement, obtained, 100 sugar spreading value. Basic speed enhancement, redeemed, 100 sugar points. Basic physical enhancement, 200 sugar points. System evaluation, trash. Hey, no, how can the system evaluation call me trash? Suan had been distracted by other things before. He hadn't noticed that at the end of the attribute panel, the system had actually given him such a blunt and violent evaluation as trash. Looking at this last column of evaluation, Suwon immediately asked the God-level dog food system. Hearing Suwon's doubts, the divine dog food system said, "Is there something wrong with this evaluation? Suwon, damn you! Dare to curse the system, believe it or not, I will explode in place in minutes? Dare to threaten this handsome guy, believe it or not, I will tell you some cheesy romantic lines in minutes?" It seems that he was thinking of Suwon's greasy romantic lines about my life being greasy and my life not being greasy. The God-level dog food system ultimately chose to admit defeat. Explain to me what impact the system evaluation has on me. Although this worthless evaluation is indeed quite appropriate to describe Suwon. Every time I open the system panel, I see these two eye-catching characters. Suwon also has a face to save. The system evaluation is the overall evaluation of the host by the system. Factors that affect the evaluation include the host's overall abilities, how well the host completes tasks each time, etc. Will this evaluation have a negative impact on me? No, the system evaluation is mainly divided into 5 levels: waste, average, excellent, awesome, and the god of dog food. Every time the level is upgraded, the host can get huge rewards. After hearing the system's introduction, Suwon roughly understood what this system evaluation was. It was equivalent to a comprehensive evaluation of his entire person, and as long as his comprehensive abilities increased, the corresponding evaluation would also increase. Obtaining a higher system evaluation will result in a generous reward. After figuring out the system evaluation settings, Suwon didn't dwell on the issue anymore. The day's classes passed quickly. Sure enough, when it was time to go home in the afternoon, Guiran was preparing to wait for Suwon to go home together, when Hu Qian came as agreed. "Iran, do you have time after school? I recently encountered several points in mathematics that I don't understand. Can you come to my house and teach me?" Hu Qian asked, looking at Guiran. Sure." After considering for a few seconds, Guiran finally agreed to Hu Qian's request. Just like that, Hu Qian led Guiran away from the school. Suwon and Song Qian waited for a few minutes to make sure they wouldn't run into Guiran, and then they left the school gate as well. "I thought you were hiding and didn't dare to come out." Just as Suwon had predicted. As soon as he and Song Qian left the school gate, they saw Lu Chang, who had lost face after failing to deliver the love letter this morning, and 7 or 8 tall boys standing behind him. Chapter 30, Beauty Saves the Hero. "Kid, are you still cocky now?" Seeing his classmates surround Suwon and Song Qian in the middle, Lu Chang asked Suwon with a smug look on his face. "Do you have something to ask me? If not, I'm going home." Surrounded by 8 people, Suwon did not show the slightest sign of panic in her eyes. "Wow, the kid's got some nerve. I'll give you a chance. Crawl through my crotch and don't come near Guiran again, and I'll let you go today." Upon hearing Lu Chang's words, the students behind him all burst into laughter. Upon hearing this, Suwon gave a faint smile. "Idiot, do you think you're in a TV drama? What did you say? At this hour, you actually dare to scold me?" Seeing that Suwon not only did not do as he said, but also scolded him for being an idiot, Lu Chang was furious, and the teasing expression on his face was gone. "Brotherin, you're like a heifer jumping over a pole to get to the sky." Song Qian, who had never spoken next to Suwon, heard that Suwon actually dared to confront Lu Chang head-on. He couldn't help but give him a thumbs up. "If there's a fight, just run, don't worry about me." Hearing Song Qian speak, Suwon whispered to him, reminding him. "Are you kidding? If I was really afraid, how could I have come with Ange? Last year, when I was bullied, didn't Ange stand up for me?" Song Qian shook his head when he heard Suwon tell him to run first. But just as Lu Chang was about to let his classmates do it, a slightly angry voice rang out. "Stop!" The next second, Guiran, who had already left first, suddenly appeared in front of them again. Looking at Suwon, who was surrounded in the middle, Guiran directly let go of Hu Qian's hand and walked all the way to Suwon's front. Seeing Hu Qian making a sorry gesture towards him, Suwon knew that his little trick had been seen through by Guiran. "Well, I heard that Suwon wants to explain to me," Guiran said to him with a cold face. "You just wait, I've got this." Although Guiran's tone was very serious, Suwon was not stupid. He knew that Guiran was worried about him and thought that he should not deceive her. After glaring at Suwon, Guiran turned around and put Suwon behind himself, looking at Lu Chang in front of him. "What do you want to do to classmate Suwon?" Seeing Guiran's eyebrows staring at him, Lu Chang looked very embarrassed. I coughed. "I was just communicating with classmate Suwon about our feelings, nothing else." Don't think too much about it. I, Lu Chang, am well known in school for being kind to others and for liking to make friends. I heard that you, Suan, are good at basketball, so I was thinking of asking you to play basketball with me sometime. If this were normal, Gui Ran would be able to talk to him like this. Lu Chang would definitely be overjoyed. But in this situation, Lu Chang would rather smack himself a few times. As for the fact that he had wanted to teach Suan a good lesson, there was no way he could say that in front of Gui Ran. Seeing that Gui Ran was silent, it seemed that she didn't believe him at all. Lu Chang hurriedly looked at Suan. Suan, can you explain for me? Did I ask you to play basketball with me? After saying this, Lu Chang frantically winked at Suan. Oh, yes. Yes. He really did want to play basketball with me. Gui Ran was the one who was most against Suan fighting with others. Not to mention that Lu Chang was afraid to admit that they were going to beat up Suan. In front of Gui Ran, Suan was even more afraid to admit it than Lu Chang. Because he knew that if the little fairy got angry, the consequences would be very serious. So, have you finished talking now? Gui Ran asked Lu Chang after hearing Suan and Lu Chang's explanations. We're done. Lu Chang hurriedly replied. Seeing Lu Chang's reply that it was over, Gui Ran turned around and looked at Suan. Go! Come home with me. Just like that, under the watchful eyes of Lu Chang and the others, Suan was directly dragged away by the school flower, Gui Ran, holding hands. On the way home, Suan was too scared to speak, looking at Gui Ran, who didn't say a word. He had promised Gui Ran that he would never get involved in fights again. Now he had been caught red-handed by Gui Ran, and Suan didn't know how to explain. So the two of them rode in silence the whole way. I'm home, you can go back. When they reached the entrance to her residential compound, Gui Ran finally stopped and spoke to Suan. I didn't wait for Suan to reply before Gui Ran turned directly towards her home without looking back. Seeing this, Suan had no choice but to go home alone. Why are you back so late today? Seeing that Suan had returned nearly half an hour later than on weekdays, her mother Wang Lan asked Suan. Well, after school I went to the bookstore with my classmates, so I got back a little late. By the way, have you finished tidying up the shop? Suan asked her mother as they sat down to eat. Almost, I took everything to the shop this morning on the electric tricycle. The income this afternoon alone is equivalent to several days' sales at the market. Wang Lan beamed when she heard Suan ask about business. Apparently the business was so good that she hadn't expected it. Suan was not surprised to hear that her mother had made a good afternoon's haul. After all, there were hundreds of households in the vicinity of the small shop, and there were no competitors nearby. With such a convenient grocery store, who would bother to go all the way to the market to buy groceries? Suan even estimated that Wang Lan would be shocked when she tallied the revenue for the whole day tomorrow. No matter what kind of business it is, as long as there are no competitors, it is very profitable. On the other side of the street, Gui Ran returned home early as usual. After returning to her room, she took out the photo she had taken with Suan at the supermarket yesterday. It turned out that on the way to Hu Qian's house, Gui Ran had already had the photo developed. Looking at the photo of herself and Suan with the butterfly hair clip, Gui Ran's lips puffed up in anger. You big idiot. You promised me you wouldn't fight with other people anymore. Not only did you get into a fight with someone, but you even dared to lie to me. That's too much. You piece of shit. It seems that it is not enough to scold Suan in the photo as a big idiot. Gui Ran pulled out the rabbit doll leaning against her bed and punched it twice. Let you lie to me. Suan, you big idiot. You big bad guy. Although Gui Ran was angry, she did not use much force in her hands. This was a birthday gift from Suan, and if she really damaged it, she would feel so bad for herself.